Today, we pay homage to the streamer's salty snack of choice and the capo who's brave enough to defend their honor. Sit back and listen for a while, friends. You're in for one hell of a salty surprise. Sometimes streaming requires a meal, but the chat won't let you enjoy your snack. Unrelenting in that mockery, you fire back with words of wisdom and attack. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Yeah! Sodium's getting high, and vitamin B12. You're getting nourishment from the nuts variety that you delve. You may think of dirty jokes, all your 69-inch ropes. But Capo continues lunch, he continues to munch. You didn't turn your back on them, although they're making your mouth dry. You'll never go hungry again until your death counts 60 high. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Damn your rotating cube! Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. 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 Shut up! Let me munch my nuts.
Yeah! That was a fucking jam!
Today, we pay homage to the streamer's salty snack of choice and the capo who's brave enough to defend their honor. Sit back and listen for a while, friends. You're in for one hell of a salty surprise. Sometimes streaming requires a meal, but the chat won't let you enjoy your snack. Unrelenting in that mockery, you fire back with words of wisdom and attack. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Yeah! Sodium's getting high, and vitamin B12. You're getting nourishment from the nuts variety that you delve. You may think of dirty jokes, all your 69-inch ropes. But Capo continues lunch, he continues to munch. You didn't turn your back on them, although they're making your mouth dry. You'll never go hungry again until your death counts 60 high. Shut Let me munch my nuts. Shut up. Let me munch my nuts. Shut up. Let me munch my nuts.
Damn your rotating cube! Ah!
Shut up. Let me munch my nuts. 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 Shut up. Let me munch my nuts.
Yeah! That was a fucking jam!
Today, we pay homage to the streamer's salty snack of choice and the capo who's brave enough to defend their honor. Sit back and listen for a while, friends. You're in for one hell of a salty surprise. Sometimes streaming requires a meal, but the chat won't let you enjoy your snack. Unrelenting in that mockery, you fire back with words of wisdom and attack. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Yeah! Sodium's getting high, and vitamin B12. You're getting nourishment from the nuts variety that you delve. You may think of dirty jokes, all your 69-inch ropes. But Capo continues lunch, he continues to munch. You didn't turn your back on them, although they're making your mouth dry. You'll never go hungry again until your death counts 60 high. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts.
Damn your rotating cube! Ah!
Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. 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 Shut up! Let me munch my nuts.
Yeah! That was a fucking jam!
Today, we pay homage to the streamer's salty snack of choice and the capo who's brave enough to defend their honor. Sit back and listen for a while, friends. You're in for one hell of a salty surprise. Sometimes streaming requires a meal, but the chat won't let you enjoy your snack. Unrelenting in that mockery, you fire back with words of wisdom and attack. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. sodium's getting high, and vitamin B12. You're getting nourishment from the nuts variety that you dare.
Hello and welcome everybody to this week's episode where I gather 7 of my friends into a single virtual room and emotionally torture them and get them to agree that they actually enjoy it and ask for more. In other words, we're playing D&D again this week. And one of my 7 friends has decided that he's just going to go get coffee the second we were going to start, so we can all now publicly shame him when he finally returns with his hot beverage, however long that takes.
Well, we're not waiting for him to return and chat be, oh, there was someone missing, like they didn't notice.
We can do that too.
Why would we shame him? At least he's birthday today, you know.
We can definitely do that.
Yeah. Chat. Pretend you didn't notice.
Yeah, make sure you call him out.
Also drink sparkling water, not stick.
It's not right. It's not just.
Hey.
Hey, so that's not, it really doesn't matter.
Oh, hey.
Oh, are you joining us?
Hi, Charles.
Where did you go?
Where
Why
did
not?
you be today?
Where did I come from? Where did I go?
Yeah, shy Joe.
Hi, everybody. What's up? How you doing?
Oh, dear.
And now we can commence Dungeons and Dragons.
I knew you were gonna do that the second I stepped down.
Oh yeah, as soon as you stood up to go get the coffee, I made us live.
Yeah, I knew it.
But
So-
you could have gone 3 minutes earlier instead of arguing with us.
That is
No,
also very
there's
true.
some things that you've got to stand for, and I stand still.
God.
Well, don't you know that I'm sparkling standing after all this time?
Nah.
That was a fucking stretch, but I'll give it to you.
I'm seeing notices that apparently Charles is too loud, so I have turned down his feed.
God.
Oh, he
Charles.
feels too.
Yeah.
I mean, can you do that in real life as well? I'm getting sick of myself.
I mean, I could just right-click and mute you. There we go. There we go. Well, got Charles. Hopefully that all sounds good. Anyway, how are all of the nerds in chat? Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Welcome back to the Ebon Death. And we're going to commence this episode by doing a little retcon of last week's ending. Which will just be considered like the alternate universe, the Sleepy Chronicles.
I might have been slightly sleepy.
Slightly. So it's probably a good idea for us to go back and retrace our steps a little bit. And did we kill Shlee already?
Ashley may or may not have hit her mic and gone like.
Anyway, the intros are becoming more and more disjointed, I feel, because we're always playing silly buggers immediately before we start doing these sessions. So who remembers what happened last week prior to the discussion with Vetus that's being retconned? I mean, everyone in chat knows because they've been watching the scrolling session notes, but you guys...
We met Reggie, and now we're planning Regicide.
Yep.
That is a very nice and succinct way to put that.
I got a theremin.
You did get a theremin.
Yes, we went on an adventure, which we didn't really go on, but we did. Yeah, I sorted out my Jade Arachnid thing that I did. No, Tristan gave it to me, so I didn't steal it for once. And I brought it to the pub. I brought Osgur along with me, because we were the only ones that were awake, because the other plebs sleep for 8 hours. And so we had a roam around town. Went to the tavern, went to Gabby's. And then we went back. And Bucky, we touched his spot. Everyone was.
Yes, that's one way of putting it. Yeah.
Bucky is a stone.
Bucky is now in the form of a gem. That is correct. A soul stone.
We always knew he was a fucking gem.
And of course, Corporeus spent an awful lot of time last session just staring into space and doing a lot of sleeping. Occasionally, Oscar also staring off into space. There's a lot of staring off into space happening during this day on Intimont.
Corporeus has done some conversing with the gods in between sessions, and they have told them all in about 4 hours worth of storytelling, which I conveniently watched.
Which brings Corporeus up to date with the present. And I think one of the biggest things that happened in the last episode was Solgra dropping a huge knowledge bomb regarding the parentage of Vitas Lani. And also revealing that John appears, instead of going to Goodton, has made his way north, and he's now heading to Kawanga instead. And we'll pick up the session where we sort of left off, being, God, I'm going to disable the dice roll on screen in a minute if you guys are going to fight over still and sparkling. I dread to look at Discord in the future. So we'll pick up this week's session with the Sneven now being gathered around a table in the Red Mullet with Vitas, as he begins to tell you about his various bits of research that he's been looking into regarding the prophecy of the Ebon Death and the cults associated with it. So it's about mid-afternoon for you guys, because you've got a terrible sleeping pattern, even in a fantasy world. None of you can get a decent night's rest at an actual time that is socially acceptable. So, early afternoon, the Sneven find themselves sat around a table in the Red Mullet. Around this table, you're sat and you can see the various notes and maps and etchings and journals that Vitas has managed to gather up. You've seen a few of these in the past few days in various states of being read and note-taking being done. And he waits for the seven of you to become seated and are prepared to hear him out, as it were. And he begins to go through some of the journals closest to him as he lays out what he believes to be locations strewn across Edus in the material plane. And he points out locations under Corvusel, Goodton, Bjarageth, and a few others around the western continent and eastern continent that you don't recognize any of the map markings for. Like, people that are following along on the World Anvil will know the entire world map, but you guys do not have a complete idea of what the world map looks like. It only really extends as far south as Kurha on the one continent and as far south as Tristan on this current continent, with a lot of blanks that are yet to be filled in. And so Vitas is pointing these out to you, and he says to you, from the best of my research, looking through various historical texts and reports that have been passed through the Staymore Empire, I believe these are the most likely locations for hives for the Riss. And as he waits a bit, he hands you all each a smaller, hand-drawn, copied version of the map that he has, each with a little X marked in the various locations of where he believes the hives to be, of which there are 7, as each of you now has a personal copy of this small booklet. And he continues, I'm not entirely sure, even with the research and the reports that have been received, why they are located in such distant and remote locations. Although if I were you, I would consider going south first and speaking with Ragash, it's come to my attention that despite her having served alongside John for such a long time in the Order, she now stands as the chieftain of the entire Orcish nation. So it's very likely that you will receive assistance should you be able to actually gain an audience with her.
She's in Corvuscle, right?
Yes, she is.
In terms of the locations of the hives or the obelisks,
And he says, as far as obelisks are concerned, I'm not certain if the cult will have had time, however they've been setting them up, to have placed obelisks at each of these sites. So far, we've only seemed to have come into contact with them within the Staymore Empire itself. I'm not sure what their reach is at current. There seems to be no accurate reporting about how far afield the cult is operating. I would imagine they've at least begun to make their way south and north on this continent, though I lack any knowledge from Raven or the Elvish lands regarding any cult activity as of the moment.
so they're responsible for the obelisk placement. How did they place it? Are we aware of this, or do you know anything about that?
Not entirely. In the course of my research, I have discovered various dark magics and incantations that may have been powerful enough to create or summon such a creation as these obelisks. I'm not entirely certain myself they aren't of extraplanar origin, although information regarding the specifics is sparse at best, and I've been unable to find anything within the Arcane Archive here in Tamont that might give me some clue as to their creation.
Have you had a chance to look into the Thedas Lavari and the links to all of this?
And he nods. There's been some links between Thedas Lavari and this cult, although nothing that would be considered concrete evidence. They've done well to hide their tracks in any level of involvement themselves. I imagine this is likely due to them being based in Bjarageth. If this were to come to light with solid evidence that they were involved with this cult, well, reparations would be the least of their concerns. Although, the strongest piece of evidence being the journal that you found back in Great Stumpleton, I imagine if we could find something a little more concrete and less dismissible than the ravings of a madman, it might be enough to at least take Thedas Lavari out of the picture.
Do you reckon they'd go down that easily?
I'm not sure they'd have much of a choice if we were to manage to find something that tied them evidently and inexcrutably to the workings of a cult. You may not remember this, Gershaw. I'm well aware of your lack of memories, but Bjarageth takes a strong stand against dark magic and cult operations. And at the very least, Thedas Lavari as a company and as a family would be forced into exile, were we able to discover any solid ties.
Well, there is potential evidence in their warehouse. Apparently there's eggs which they've been researching in their warehouse. Would that be enough of a link if we were to somehow prove or get these eggs and prove that they were from Thedas Lavari?
The eggs most certainly need to be dealt with, but without any specific ties showing that they were being transported to and from cult members with the explicit intent of cult actions, it may not be enough alone.
Okay.
For now, I would do my best if I were you to steer clear of the company and any of its, and he sighs at this with something of a groan, employees. And you get the distinct impression that even before this particular knowledge came to light, that Vitus himself was maybe not the biggest fan of the Thetis Lavari company himself.
What was the name of the succubus that we met?
She did actually announce her real name to you, didn't she? She's a Felona.
Yeah. Well, Thelona seems to have erased the memories of the Emperor, and that's what's caused the current coup.
And he takes a moment to think over the implications. And says, I'm not so much bothered about the coup and its outcome myself, though this Felona character, she most certainly needs to be dealt with. I can't imagine the havoc she might wreak if she were to in some way involve herself in the cult's activities. Is there anything happening or that happened during your time with Felona that gives you any reason to think she may be involved with this cult?
Not so far.
I don't
Although
think
she'd be back.
Yeah. I don't think she's a particular fan, because we mentioned the risks, and she wasn't a big fan of the risks at all. So I guess that's a good sign that it's, at least, the enemy of my enemy, that kind of thing. Not saying that they're a friend, but...
So Vitus smiles and relaxes a bit at this information, and he looks at you and says, at least there's some good news to come out of this. Well, she may not be good news on her own. At the very least, we don't have to worry about whatever kind of devil she is getting involved with this cult. That may have made things significantly more difficult for both of us.
Solgra?
I was just thinking she did mention Idol.
I imagine she must be a fairly powerful or high-ranking devil, at the very least, to not only be aware of Idal, but to have any form of opinion against him. From what I've gathered from the text, Idal himself is lesser known amongst the low-ranking demons. Something of a boogeyman even to devils and demons themselves.
I know when a while ago I may or may not have appropriated some of my blood to you, in not the best way, but it might be worth researching it, because the devil scratched me, and it seemed to have burned her flesh.
And as if remembering that you actually gave him the blood a long time ago, he removes the vial from his pack, along with a scroll that's tied up, and he hands both to you and says, I wouldn't dream of keeping your blood. If you wish to dispose of it, that is on you. However, I did take some time examining the contents of the vial. I'm not sure you're ready to hear what I have found, but when you feel you are, open the scroll.
Oh.
And he hands you the scroll and the vial.
Sorry, that was an out of character thing. I'm like, whoa.
Oh.
Thanks.
And as you're taking the scroll that he's handing to you, he stops you for a moment as your hand grasps the scroll and clutches his hand around yours, and he looks you deep in your eyes and says, be very, very certain, Gershaw, that you are prepared to read the contents.
Okay, that's not foreboding whatsoever. Jesus Christ. I mean, whatever the Jesus equivalent is in in Edis.
I like Red-Eye, give me strength.
Yeah. What was the other one, Shlee?
The watery tits.
Yeah,
But-
Luna's water it is.
I like your in-universe blaspheming.
What's Red-Eye's full name?
No one knows if he has a family name, it's just Redite. So unfortunately you can't
Like
make a Jesus
Deathshot.
H. Christ joke in there, which I knew you were going to go for.
And
Red-Eyed L. Dinklehorn.
is a like denomination that worships Redite. Is that called a sub-Redite?
Yes! Yes! Damn it,
I'm really
A!
angry at
Like,
that, but it's
get
so
the fuck
good.
out.
I can't.
Damn it, A, why are you so much funnier than me? That's good, yeah, well, that's canon now, guys. Oh god. I'm gonna have to work that into something in the future. So yeah, Vitus hands you the scroll with the warning. The vague warning. Actually, yeah, I've just seen it, their music in chat. A, you totally get inspiration for that. That's official inspiration.
No, you. Thank you. Incredible.
So, Vitus looks at all of you, scanning your expressions for any sort of reaction to the news of this many hives, and asks you once more, are there any further questions before I depart?
How
How
screwed are we?
fast? How fast would you reckon new hives might appear, if at all, or is this a long-term thing?
And he thinks for a moment, going over his notes. New hives, I'm uncertain. We have been unable to collect any sort of complete analysis of the risks themselves, their life cycle, the size of their general hives. I'm not certain how often a new matriarch may attempt to form a new hive, and I'm not certain whether these hives, or at least the locations that I have marked, are active as of the moment. Something written in these texts leads me to believe that the hives have been there all along, resting in a dormant state, and only the closest hive has been, so far been successfully activated, if you will, by the cult. We may have time before the world is overrun with multiple active hives.
It stands to reason they would work their way out, then, rather than go across the country and maybe go to the furthest away hive from here on out.
It is a reasonable prediction.
It's just something which you may have researched, but you mentioned they were a hive mind, right?
It would appear so. I've been able to find any concrete evidence to the fact, but the stories told of older ages and those that had encountered the risks do make it appear that they operate with a insect-like hive mind and maybe even some level of general telepathy.
But with that, is it one hive mind or multiple hive minds? Because that could explain the multiple locations and why they may not necessarily act the same, if that makes sense. Kind of like ant colonies, if that's the case.
Yes. And that's when Vita says to you, I'm terribly sorry, Gershaw, but the data appears to be unavailable for that kind of estimation.
Dang it, and that's when I was going to be smart.
You could make a fair assumption that they operate similar to insects, although there are many creatures, both on the material plane and of extraplanar origin, that look insectoid and do not operate like the insects you are familiar with. It is very possible they could be of a singular global hive mind, or they may operate as individual hives and have their own inner conflicts. This is still unknown, even to those who wrote logs many centuries and eons ago. No one in our entire history appears to have a full and complete understanding of the risks. He says, but there is hope. Through the stories, and something I wish to discover for myself, a race I know very little of, going by Githyanki, appear to have spent the most time hunting the creatures of all things. Now, I remember you mentioned on your arrival to Tamont and in talks with John that you had met with a Githyanki woman yourself, and that she had mentioned her home on the material plane to be that of what the maps call Grimlock. I would very much like to visit it myself, assuming I'm not immediately killed on sight. But I feel that maybe only the Githyanki at this point will offer any further salvation.
Well, there is one more, maybe. I don't know whether we mentioned about, does the name QT ring any bells to you in any of our reports?
He says, no, not in the reports. I am familiar with the dryad that you mentioned.
Well, he can hear the risk. And
Interesting.
it might be worth taking a trip to Little Angor at some point. Just to, well, one, see if it's still standing, and two, to maybe get some information from him directly. Just you yourself, maybe.
Said, I'll take that under advisement. It's not like I really wanted to travel across the inlet and then over the mountains to head north to Grimlock, so I would have to pass by Little Angor at any rate. I'll make sure I stop in and speak with this QT.
Yeah. Just mention about Fanny Boar's heroic exploits in the drinking challenge.
And he gives a quick grin in Fanny Boss's direction and says, yes, I had heard about that. John was very impressed when that particular story was relayed to him.
Okay. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to ask?
I am currently outside.
Oh yeah, you are. So it's the snakes, not the Sneven.
Snakes.
Stevie Snicks.
So no one else has any questions for Beatles?
Not really, because the books thing you said we can figure out. Like we have everything that we can figure out by ourselves.
Out of character, it might be worth mentioning just in case it might give some sort of form of ending the war, maybe, and what Reeds might advise with that. Not the actual books themselves, I'm sure we can figure that out ourselves, but the actual ramifications of what would happen if we decide to try and end the war before this or whatever, because it's kind of like potentially prolonging a war or saving the world kind of thing, because it would take time.
Yeah. Does anyone wants to? Should I?
Maybe you should, because you know the most about the
Sorry,
books.
I'm sleepy. Okay. Beatrice.
And he turns in your direction. Yes?
Hi. In terms of priorities, right? What do you think it's important to do the race or to maybe potentially do a good thing and end the war?
And he thinks and says, well, in my opinion, the risks would take priority. The risks have the potential to end all life as we know it. The war will likely not leave this continent.
Okay.
And how might you go about ending an ongoing war between this freshly seized empire and the orcs?
Well, we Tristan, he said he wasn't supposed to be the emperor, and now Reggie's not supposed to be the emperor, but he is. But we might have found the actual emperor, which is Antord Stymor. And he doesn't know it because he's old now. But he's not really old. He was made old by the Felona lady. And he's been basically like transformed or something into an old man, and we might have a way to make him less old. I don't know how old he was supposed to be in the first place. Right now, I'd say he's around like 92-ish, and he's not really old there. But
Vitus leans in across the table with a distinct look of interest in his eye, and he's focusing now all of his attention on you. And he says, "I'm intrigued. What exactly is your plan here?"
no plan, Vitus. We have the books. We have the books that contain the code on how we can turn him back. But I need to read them first. I read one of them. It was kinky as fuck, but I didn't get the code. I need to read all of them.
And he gives you a confused look. He says, "May I see one of these books?"
Which one do you want to see?
I suppose any of them will do.
Okay, I look in my bag and I give him number 4, which is the one that also Gersha looked before he cosplayed as the phallic barbarian.
And so Vitus takes the book from you as he sits back in his chair. He looks at the cover and he scoffs and looks up at Gershaw, shakes his head.
I look back with pride.
And ignoring your prideful expression, he begins to flip through the book, scanning the different pages, and as he's scanning, he starts to take a few notes on a pad before, a few moments later, he hands you the closed book back, and he tears a fresh page from his notes and hands the page to you as well. And says, "It looks like it's some sort of cipher for a ritual. I'm afraid I don't have time myself to translate everything, but this key should speed up the process if you wish to go to the effort yourself." So he hands you notes, and out of character, the notes will in fact halve the amount of time it would normally have taken you to figure out all 7 books.
Okay, and do you still think we should do the rest first? How long do you think this might take us to do?
Out of
the
character,
Emperor?
or are you asking Vitus?
Both.
Because the Riss is your overarching storyline that could take you until 2023, possibly longer if you treat every hallway like you do the palace.
Ouch!
So
We just wanted to make sure that Colin was okay.
So Vitus, as he is as a character, is far more concerned with Riss activities, but yeah, you guys could go whichever way you prefer. Both will have ramifications. There's no right answer.
Okay.
Just different consequences.
Of course.
Of course.
Okay. Well, that's it. We have all the book Vitus anyway, so we'll try to figure it out at some point.
Okay. So so Vitus looks at the party and he says, "Well, if you have no further questions or business that requires my attention, it's about time that I left this godforsaken city and found somewhere nicer to spend my time researching." And he begins to stand up and pushes his chair up from the table. And he gathers up his various notes and journals and rolls up his maps and places everything in the large satchel that he carries. And he again looks at the party and confirms with each of you, like, you all have your personal copies of my research, correct?
I was not aware of that. That is excellent to know.
Yeah. So he's handed one to each of you, and he places an extra one on the table, and says, "And someone do please pass one of these on to Sharid."
Grab the extra one.
Fantastic. And with that, he gives you all a curt nod, but also a warm smile. He's grown to like, even begrudgingly like the seven, as he stands up and makes for the door of the tavern. And Sharid, what were you up to? I can no longer remember now.
I went to the blacksmith dude and got my thingy.
Yeah, so you were on your way back from Blacksmith Dude, right?
Yeah, I don't come back from the back and sneak through my window though.
Okay. Okay. So Vitus would not have bumped into you as he leaves. So Vitus has headed off, and he's now on his way out to Mont. So, Sneven, what are you guys
Where is he
gonna do?
going? Goodton?
Goodson.
Because he thinks that Jordan is in there. Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
And John's actually going to Koanga.
Koanga, yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so guys, now that Vitus is gone, yeah? Like, completely out of earshot.
He is out of here. He's gone. He's left.
Right, he's eaten. Good.
Yeah.
Right, so, the, thing we got to consider is that we got another urgent matter, obviously, which we've got to decide. And that is to help John, because we have no idea what's happening.
I thought we had agreed that we would go after
Yeah.
Jorn and
Yeah.
help him where we can.
But what we're going to do after that, I guess we wait and see.
I think our priority now should be to get to Kiranga
Yeah.
soonish.
Yeah.
You know, now.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other business? Because I think I'm ready to head out whenever.
I'm thinking of stocking up
Okay.
supplies and
That'd be good.
things.
Also, Sharid, has he joined? Sharid, are you here? Sharid. Sharid.
I'm not here. I snuck through
Oh,
the
it's all
back
not-
window into my room.
Okay. Oh, okay, you're actually not. Okay. He's not
Were
talking
we
to us.
gonna go back and get the electric gate?
The lightning loot.
Do we have to go back for that?
No. But were we?
I
can't
believe
remember.
that Gabby told you it wasn't quite ready.
In the
She
future, I
hadn't
think
quite
we...
figured out how to actually make it work. Although, you know, her heart's in the right place. She's trying, bless her, but she's never made an electric guitar before.
Yeah, but we were there like 2 hours ago anyway.
Yeah.
So I think no
Yeah.
point in... Maybe next
Have you
time
finished
we
it
could-
yet?
Hello?
How's my
Hello?
commission going? Have you made it yet? Have you made it yet?
Yeah, I think I'm good to head out whenever.
Okay, so you, as a group, sat at this table. You all have a very distinct look about you that people working in the service industry have come to know very well, and it all looks like you're about to leave, and possibly on a permanent basis. And upon seeing this this look, the owner of the Red Mullet steps out from behind the bar and walks up to your table, and he places a piece of parchment on the table and says, "I hope you are not about to skip town. That big man, he gave us plenty of gold, but it's not covered everything." And he places an invoice on the table to the tune of 200 gold and says, "Someone owes me the rest of this money."
Yeah, sure.
Can I roll for stealth?
Fuck off, then. You bastard.
Would that not mean all of us would have to roll for stealth?
Oh no, she's
No,
trying to get up without
I,
having to
I
pay.
go.
You know what? Minute, what's going on? Yeah.
I mean, M could attempt to stealth away. I mean, there's enough people still on the table.
I'm just slamming down 200 gold. Done. I've
Can I
covered it.
steal
It's
stealth
fine.
away? Just for fun?
I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. There's enough people at the table, enough going on that you could just kind of creep away.
Well, I've just paid it. I literally just
Doesn't
paid
matter.
it.
M's gone. M's left.
I go back to my room and pick up whatever things I have left there. I don't even know how many things I could carry on me or not, so I just go and check. and then wait outside. Wait my amber and my leaves.
And the owner, he smiles, returning to his more courteous demeanour after Gershaw coughs up the money, and he says, "Well, that was far easier to deal with you than it was to deal with the whatever he was." And someone from behind the bar just yells out, "The alcoholic!"
Oh.
And the owner waves away whoever was shouting from behind the bar, and was doing his best to put on his customer service smile, and says, "Your boss, I believe." And he takes the money and he heads back behind the bar very quickly, depositing everything you gave him. So yeah, you guys have footed the bill that John didn't finish paying for, and are now free to leave the Red Mullet without any level of debt.
Alright.
Although there is an itemized bill, like an invoice, on the table in front of you, so if you ever do care, you could look and see what you've just paid for.
I'd like to read that, please.
So reading through
Give
it,
to Jorn.
you see that the initial price that was paid upfront by John did in fact cover the rooms for each of you for an extended period of time that you could still make use of for maybe another week if you wanted to. That's all been paid up front. What wasn't paid up front was somewhere in the region of 40 to 50 pints of mead and various other alcohol stuffs that you'd mostly associate with John. Possibly Fanny Boss.
I don't think I had anything to drink at the tavern, by the way.
I think I might have had like one drink.
This is what happens when you let John and Fanny Boss drink together and just keep saying, "Put it on my tab." Because then you guys have to pay his tab.
It's alright. I'll get John to sub back something, I don't know.
I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Alright.
While this is happening, I snuck back into my room and picked up an undisclosed package that was left in an undisclosed location and joined up with the party after.
And to do that, I'm going to have you need to roll a investigation roll. Because you don't know where the package is.
That is true.
It was a great plan until you needed to retrieve the items that you don't know where you put them.
I got an 18.
Nice.
Alright, so just through pure coincidence, the first place that you can think to look is the place that it is.
Hey.
What is it,
And
though?
I happily whistle a tune as I make my way back to the party.
Is that the gold from the palace? Is that the
I
gold from
continue
the
singing
palace?
my good berry jig all the way back to.
I hand Cactus the booklet. I say we have notes from Vitus. Have a read in your room there.
Oh, thank you.
And as you take the notes, which is almost in every way identical to the notes that everyone else received, Sharid, your particular copy has an extra location marked on the map and a note attached because it just says in Vitus's handwriting, "This may or may not be of interest to you, Sharid. I think maybe this would be a location that you'd find most interesting." But it says nothing further.
Cool. Noted.
Shall we go fetch the carriage?
Sounds good.
Okay, so are you all heading to the carriage, or are we splitting the party again?
So
Happy
I wanted
to
to stock up on stuff.
I remember Solga wanting to stock up on stuff. Is Solga going to split the party and go get stuff?
I am considering just doing this off stream.
No, we have to do this.
What do you need? Or is it something which
I want potions. I told you, Briggy. Do this off stream.
We need to know if Gershaw's going to go with you or not, because that's going to change the outcome.
Is out of character. In character, Gershaw, you can stay the fuck out. I'm going by myself. Go and find another fucking potion shop to raid.
I know how many there are. Right, but I already have the potions that I require. They are too strong for you, traveler. And then briskly walks quite quickly towards the carriage as if trying to escape as well. Hell, I saw what she did to Capo. I'm not getting involved in that.
So Gershaw is now power walking in the direction of the drunken duck and also where the carriage is. Solga, you make your way to the potion shop, and upon entering this quaint little potion shop, you receive what you can only imagine to be a far warmer welcome than Gershaw has ever received in any potion shop on this continent or any other. Although still some level of trepidation from the old lady who owns the potion shop, as you are in fact half orc, and she's kind of concerned. She doesn't get out much. She has a look on her face like, did we lose the war?
Did we lose the war?
But all the same, she does her best to put on a customer service smile and greets you somewhat trepidatiously. Hello, can I do anything for you?
Potions. Greater healing. How much?
She nods and says, bear with. You didn't ask for it, but I am going to have her roll. Just because you are very scary. Okay, yeah, she's terrified. So she's like one moment away from crapping her pants just by your sheer presence in her tiny potion shop. And she says, and just thinks it's 10 gold? And looking at your face goes, I mean 5 gold.
How many have you got?
And she says, I have 2.
I'll take both.
And she does, of course, would you like them gift wrapped?
Yes.
And she begins to wrap the potion bottles in a very fancy silk that seems to shimmer, and ties them both with a bow, and she sort of pushes them towards you across the counter, and she says, "Is that everything?"
Poultices for burns.
And she nods, really hoping you were going to just leave, and gets the poultices for you. And she says, they're included. It's a buy 2 greater potions of healing, get a poultice free kind of deal. And just pushes them towards on the counter.
It's like Holland and Barrett.
Can I interest you in some quinoa? She doesn't say that. That's just me. She has no quinoa. She doesn't even know what quinoa is. She still thinks it said quinoa.
Also, do you happen to know anywhere that sells oil?
And she says, yes. I imagine any of the general stores in the city would probably carry... And then she thinks, you just mean oil, right? Like oil? Oil for, squeaky doors and burning things and that kind of stuff?
Yes.
And says, yeah, just about any general store would probably carry some amount of oil.
Just one.
And she gives you directions to one that's like 15, 20 meters from her current store, like across the street. She says, just over there. And points very timidly out the window of the Persian store.
Take my stuff, and I give a curt nod and leave.
And as you walk out of the Persian store and the door begins to close behind you, you can hear a very, very terrified but also relaxed sigh of relief coming from behind you.
Expected.
And you can see that there is a myriad of general stores dotted around Tomont, the closest of which is directly opposite you.
I would like to go in there.
So heading in there, you get something of a similar reception. Many customer service smiles, but also an air of panic and fear being held together. You see one young boy towards the back of the store who looks like he was about to start taking stock, just sort of turn around, like no facial expression. He just sort of turns and walks through a door into the back without saying a word.
Understandable.
Have a nice day.
And the man stood behind the counter. He looks at you and just says, "Can I help you?" Whilst doing his best to remain composed.
Oil.
And he says, "You'll what?"
Thanks, I hate it.
Can I just stare him down until he realizes what I said?
Yeah, it takes him like a solid 2 minutes of just like wide-eyed fear as he looks at you. Like,
I'm happy to carry on staring unblinkingly.
then after a very uncomfortable silence, he says, "Oh, oil?
Yes.
Yes. How much do you want?"
Bottles.
And he points towards the back of the store, and you can just make out around a corner of a shelving unit some flasks that look like they might contain what you're after. And he sort of just points that direction, says, "They're at the back over there," and keeps an eye on you as you go and retrieve the required amount that you're after, as much as you can carry, really. And upon
How
returning,
big are the bottles?
they're about the same size as the Persian bottles. They're not carrying a huge amount. It looks like they use them mostly, you imagine, mostly in homes for things like oil lanterns. So, not really, huge drums of the stuff.
I'm not carting one of those around.
No. They do look, you have a very quick sort of flash of inspiration as you look at these bottles of oil and realize that they are one rag and a magic user away from becoming Molotov cocktails. Or whatever the Edis equivalent of a Molotov cocktail is.
Do you have any bandages? Things that could be used as splints?
And he nods as he's sort of leant over the counter looking down at you and says, yeah, just to the side, if you go around the corner, there's all the medical supplies, I guess they'd be called.
Cool.
And as you gather up the things that you're after, he's just kind of watching you from behind the counter in a mixture of like abject horror and curiosity, as he can't quite make out why he's seeing a half-orc in his store, and it worries him on such a deep emotional level that he just kind of forgets he's running a store for a while and just sort of watches you and is unable to leave the spot.
I would like to collect enough supplies for pretty much enough for 2 med packs.
Yeah, you can get all that in one trip here. So you'd be able to put all that together just by picking up the stuff off the shelves.
That, the oil, and spare lockpicking kit. I want thieves' tools.
You can definitely get those from here. They're not called that. They're, they're just kind of left unlisted and
Yep.
decide. But you know it when you seize it.
So I drop everything on the counter and ask how much.
And he looks up at you, down at what you just put on the desk, up at you again, and just sort of goes, 2 gold?
Deal. And I give him 3.
And he takes a gold from you without even looking at it. He's still just looking at you with confusion, now replacing some of the curiosity on his face. You can tell he's still afraid, but he's definitely just confused as all hell right now. As he watches you sort of walk out and leave the store, he's still stood in the exact same position, holding 3 gold that he hasn't even mentally registered.
I proceed to leave. I turn around and I look at him and I go, "Have a nice day," and slam the door.
You don't hear anything from inside as you walk away from that general store. It's a gobsmacked silence from inside.
And now I'm making my way to the Drunken Duck. I was going to call it the Farting Duck, but there we go.
So you make your way without any issues to the Drunken Duck. You do notice, much like the rest of the party have noticed, there's a lot more guard patrols in the city than there were when you first entered. And of course, the tabards having changed colours within the last day. The other 6 of you have already made your way to the Drunken Duck and find yourself staring down a familiar side street next to the tavern, which ends with a stables.
The stables.
Their guard's still there?
I mean, are you guys going to head down towards the stables?
Yes.
So far, the 6 of you just kind of lined up on that road looking down towards the stables.
I will make my way in.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you, as Capo, M, and Shareed make their way in front of the others towards the stables, you get halfway down this side road that you've walked down here before, and you've fairly experienced this part of town now. Caporius, you are shocked when, as you're walking, you're hit by a stray clump of mud.
Can I use my monk powers to catch it and throw it back?
Yes, you can.
All this time! I've been waiting! I'm not quite sure how to do it anymore. It's somewhere on my sheet.
So it's deflect missile?
Yes, that sounds... Deflect missiles, yeah. I can use my reaction. Okay, the damage I take from the attack is reduced by 1d10 plus 7. And if I reduce it to 0, I can throw it back.
Okay, so because it's a clump of mud, it would do 0 damage to you which means that by default you'll be able to catch it and lob it back.
I will. Lob it back.
Okay, so roll perception for me.
Nice.
So you were, with your exemplary monk skills, you catch the mud, and it remains solid enough in your hands on impact that you can definitely throw it. Although you can't quite see where it came from, only the general direction being somewhere to your right, which is away from the tavern. And there looks to be some open areas of the stables to your right, but a lot of it's a bit too dark for you to make out anyone who might be there or wherever this projectile made its way from.
Throw it anyway.
Alright, just roll a d20 for me. Treat it as like an accurate, like a...
Natural.
Oh!
Oh my god!
God dang.
Nice crit.
So you lob this this ball of mud in a random direction to your right, which is where the projectile came from, and as you throw it, a second later you just hear a "ow" as a goblin reveals himself from the shadows behind a few barrels with a clump of mud directly between his eyes. As he wipes it off, he grins at you despite now being covered in mud and says, "That was very impressive."
Yeah. Don't throw mud at me. Go away.
And with nothing left to add, the goblin just sort of shrugs his shoulders and says, "Yeah, okay." Turns back into the stables and walks away. As he's wiping mud off of his face, he just has a look about him like, "Yeah, respect that decision." just nailed him between the eyes with this mud. Like, yeah, what am I gonna do? He just walks off to go sit down in the stables further somewhere in. And after that interaction, a familiar-looking goblin makes his way out of the stables to look at the six of you.
Can I sneak a peek at the business card to confirm the name?
The name is Drict.
All right. Hey, Drict.
And roll. Would that be
Performance?
do a sleight of hand check for me?
No, the reason why I'm doing it is
No,
because
you just did it now. Roll a sleight of hand
fuck you. Right.
to see if Drict spots you suddenly checking the business card again before you said that.
12.
That's fair. Yeah, no, he doesn't spot your quick checking of the business card there, and he grins happily, warmed by the knowledge that you remembered his name without any level of assistance. You cared so deeply for Drict that you knew exactly who he was when you saw him.
I did it because when you messaged me before saying about a particular thing, because I remember I called him one name and you were like, "You do not want to be sued," and I was there like, making sure that it's not that. That was to save your ass. So I appreciate the.
But it works
generosity of
out
the
so
role.
well comedically. And he says, Gershaw! How could I forget Gershaw, the mighty phallic barbarian?
Hell yes. Right.
I'm so pleased that you remember my name. Of course, I have everything ready for you. The horses, the carriage, we repaired it as best we could.
He became so articulate.
It's because you remembered his name. He's doing his best. You can tell it's a forced voice as well. It's not sounding natural coming out of Drict's mouth. It sounds like when someone tries to put on a posh accent. That's exactly how Drict sounds right now as he presents himself all businesslike to you.
Well,
He's also wearing like a slightly tilted top hat that's kind of, a bit knackered at the top. It's clearly a garbage or hand-me-down or something like that. But he's doing his best to look very smart and posh.
well, fine sir. Thank you very much for preparing our lustrous carriage for us. and I hope you have an indubitably, implicably awesome day.
And he grins wide at your attempt at being fancy, and he mirrors it by doing a flourish and a deep bow in front of you, and says, "Why, of course, Master Gershaw, I have done my utmost best to be a refined goblin. Your carriage awaits."
Let us depart, merry people.
Can I run to my pony?
You can. You see the horses, ponies, and the carriage all in really good condition. The horses and the carriage in fairly decent condition, considering what it had been through prior to arriving. The hole in the back has been patched up. The wheels and axles fixed, and even given a new coat of paint. It's a terrible colour. It's kind of a mixture of bright lime and beige. But the goblins all seem very impressed with their handiwork. You can't find any fault with it. It's awful taste, but great execution. So yeah, it doesn't look good, but it's well done. And Drict, of course, is over the moon to have what he thinks a very sophisticated conversation with Gershaw, doing his best, although he doesn't realise that Gershaw is an idiot.
Here we all were thinking it takes one to know one.
No, apparently...
I want to run to my pony and hug my pony because I missed him.
Your pony is very happy to see you.
Tiny horse for a tiny person.
So after you guys have gotten situated and sort of thrown all your belongings in the carriage and gotten ready, this is when Solgra arrives after doing all the purchasing to spot Gershaw and Drict conversing in what is getting more and more like outrageously over the top posh speak as they sort of one-up each other. Drict is loving it, but Solgra, you happen upon this scene happening in this side road while the rest of the party are further back with the carriage.
Why, good morrow, fair lady. How doth be thine potion sharpest?
And after you say that, Drict also turns to Solgra and again does a flourish and a deep bow towards Solgra.
Can I just walk past as if I'm ignoring them?
Yeah.
And then quickly spin round and, like, kick Gershaw in the back of the legs.
I will allow it.
Fuck's sake, I was about to do something.
So you knock Gershaw to his knees.
And as he hits the floor, I will turn around and say, I've got medkits for that, and carry on walking.
As you turn back before you say that, you can see that because Gershaw is now on his knees, he stands at the same height as Drict. So the two of them are now both looking up at you.
Well, this is a bit of a predicament, but I am closer to my one true calling. The floor!
We've only enabled him now.
Can I head to M and pass them the thieves' tools?
Yep.
Thank you. Why do you have this?
I don't really say anything, but I give you a meaningful look. And then
Is that a
turn
present?
around,
Saga, you got me a gift?
and then I turn around and chuck my things in the carriage.
Oh, I could cry right now. Oh.
Carriage.
I'm like, yay.
So what are the rest of you doing? Solgrid, sorry, did you say you've what did you do after giving them the tools?
I'm in the carriage now.
You're in the carriage.
Yep.
So that leaves the rest of you just kind of mulling around the carriage as Sorgra gets into the carriage. Gershaw's still kneeling, having resumed his overly posh conversation, but still on his knees, with talking to Trict.
I stand up promptly. I dust myself off, give the most fanciful bow that Drict has ever seen in his life.
Drict attempts to mimic it immediately after you've done yours.
And somehow does it better, and I seem angry about that. But I don't show it. I just compliment him in the most passive-aggressive, posh way ever.
He doesn't pick up on the passive aggression whatsoever and thinks it's just a regular compliment. He's quite happy.
And then, henceforth mounts the carriage!
Okay,
in the driver's seat.
And are the rest of you doing anything else before embarking?
I just want to hug my pony.
Embark.
The rest of the party aren't paying any attention, they don't see it, but Drict, however, is very impressed. Drict does attempt to mimic you and attempt one himself, although he doesn't manage a backflip and he falls over and his hat goes rolling away. But he picks up and dusts it off, and he looks even more impressed with you once he's failed to do it.
No, give my pat in the back, but at least you tried.
So where are you all going?
We're going to Kawanga.
I don't think we need to make any stops, so yeah. Straight there?
Just go straight there. As long as the feed's is the feed loaded into the carriage and everything, like just before we go.
Yeah. Everything that you paid for
Actually,
and planned is all done.
Will we make through the forest, or will we go the long way around, taking the roads? That's kind of a big
you're not
difference.
going to make it through the forest if you're going on horseback with the carriage.
Okay.
How long is it going to take to go by road?
But Disney Princess might be able to summon mounts for everybody.
But what are you going to do about the carriage?
Oh yeah. Sad.
I mean, how emotionally attached are we to the carriage?
Well,
I don't know,
it's a
there's a
paint job
pretty
now.
good paint job, yeah.
I'm not leaving my pony.
That's not quite what
On the road it
You have to
is.
leave your pony. It'll just be the people who don't have mounts. But
Oh, you want it to mount things, as in like someone else.
Oh, please. This is family friendly, come on now.
it's not
This has never been family friendly.
I knew what you were talking about. I've never even been inside the carriage, so I don't care about the carriage.
So how many days will it take by road again? I wasn't listening.
It took you guys a full day's travel, I believe. Actually, a full day and then a bit to go from Fontaine to Mont.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, it'd probably be 2 days travel via the road, or it could potentially also take 2 days travel to go directly through the forest as well, but with a chance that it might be faster or it might not be as fast. It's some of it's going to be rough terrain. It is a forest. You're not sure what's there, whereas the road at least is a known quantity.
We might want to find somewhere to, like, camp out for the night as well. So, at some point, like, take a short or long rest.
True.
If it's 2 days.
And that road is, it goes away from Mont and Kawanga before heading back towards Kawanga, so that's why it's going to take a fair bit of time. So your options are either roadside camping going by the road, or I guess Sharid doing his Disney Princess impression, and all of you tracking your way through the woods, through rough terrain. Well,
The thing is, if we're planning to go on to Guten, like, it'd be good to get there as fast as possible. If we're planning to go on to Guten afterwards, and onwards afterwards, and not go back to Demont,
Yeah, you don't know that it's going to be any quicker. It's more of a gamble. It could be the same amount of time, it could be longer, depending on what happens during your travel in the woods. Or it could end up being much quicker.
The road sounds like fun, not gonna lie.
Again, the road is a known quantity, so you know how long that's going to take and the kind of conditions that you'll encounter. Or, when it comes to the woods, you've got to see if Sheree can actually summon mounts for you, because I still don't know if that's something that he can do. Plus, also having to actually trek through the woods.
Should we vote?
I was half memeing, but there's a lot of giant creatures that I can summon. That I think are big enough for mounts. A warhorse, for example, I can summon like 8 of them.
You can summon 8 warhorses?
Apparently.
Nani?
Then yes, Sheree could in fact summon mounts for everybody.
I can also summon like giant eagle, and we could like I don't know, like Lord of the Rings.
The eagles just had a flounder in the beginning.
How many giant eagles can you summon?
Only 2.
Can I get my pony?
That's not going to be
on
enough giant
eagle?
eagles to transport the party.
Well, 1 in each talon and then 2 and 1 on the back.
So me and Fanny both are tiny.
When it's so.
But I want to take my pony.
Are we taking the forest route then?
Should we vote?
I think honestly I think we should take the carriage because we're going to be continuing past Kawanga into Goodton and probably up north? Question mark.
Yeah, I'm happy to take the carriage.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stay in the
I-
carriage.
But it's a funny idea.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, not gonna lie. Trying the forest. I mean, so far the carriage mostly, if Sharit can come and summon us mounts, so far the carriage has cost us money to buy and then to have stored while we were off doing things.
After you
And
set
they-
it on fire.
Yeah, well, that was a group effort.
Caveat
really.
though, it does take spell slots to summon things, and I don't have infinite spell slots.
And
is
we're
true.
probably going to get stuck somewhere without carriages or horses.
Was the things that we're most likely to encounter on the roads probably bandits, maybe a stray wrist, things like that, whereas deep in the forest we don't know what's in there.
Like
That's why we should go.
hedgehog.
Yeah, it sounds out of character, it's super exciting, but logically,
Why must you use facts and logic?
Solgar is a tactical genius!
Right. So let's just do this with diplomacy. Hands up for road. All right.
That's
Road,
road then.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Very well.
That's the majority. I don't get a vote.
Can we split the party?
If I summoned a strong beast to make the carriage go vroom, will we get there faster on the road?
Depends what you summon and what I roll.
Brown bears, I think can go like 60 kilometers per hour, right?
True, but your other livestock won't move at 60.
They probably won't move at
right.
all if they see a bear. Or they'll move swiftly in the
Your
other direction.
ponies are only going to move as fast as ponies move, so they'll immediately begin to lag behind until you guys get there faster than whoever's taking pony and horse.
That is fair. All right.
That's highest.
Can we fit the ponies and the horses in the carriage?
I believe Fanny Boss already attempted this.
Oh yeah!
Or
Thought
thought
of
about
attempting
it.
To be fair, we were better in motion. So if you put it,
And the carriage was on fire.
And had a hole in it.
Also, how fast can the carriage actually move before it starts to shake and fall apart is also another thing that we have to.
I think the carriage itself is. I think its upper limit is about the same as a warhorse, technically. Like, you could pull it with warhorses so that it would be faster, but I think that's still slower than bears. Wait, that's weird. Why would it be slower than... Well, warhorses should be the fastest. I don't know, is what I'm trying to say. The carriage is fine. The carriage won't have a problem.
Should
Right,
we just go?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good idea.
This entire time, Drict has been sort of just sat on a barrel watching the seven of you debate where you're going while the cart's loaded up, but you just sort of sat in this side street next to the stables. He takes his hat off a bit and scratches his head and then puts his top hat back on. Watching.
I mistake that from tipping his hat at me, and then I tip an imaginary hat back.
That's so awkward.
Actually,
can we take a break before we start travelling?
Yeah.
I was almost about to do a break just for you guys to discuss that, but I thought there might be some comedy value in letting that be discussed on stream. So, yeah, once you've... Sorry. Just saw Percy in chat. They wouldn't be having this issue if they got a damn chariot.
Sick.
He's not wrong.
Chariot. Also, the chariot is not able to go through the woods anyway.
No.
Just out of curiosity, so most horse breeds apparently gallop 25 to 30 miles per hour, and bears can comfortably run at 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, but the warhorse is a fantasy horse that has separate rules in 5th edition.
I just thought people might be curious about bear knowledge.
I enjoy the real world bear knowledge.
I like bear facts.
Yeah, break.
Alright, so we're going to do a break, and I'm going to move the camera over now to our Be Right Back screen. There we go.
It's in a bit.
Okay, you guys can take your breaks, and I can check chat, and also we can start dropping some emotes. There we go. Drop a number 7 D20 on there. Cassie, yes.
I like the irony of the drop bear. I'll be back.
The drop bear. Oh, Piglet about to leave and then spotted a drop about to happen.
As it happens.
Coffee time.
Just looking at chat, I didn't get to say hi to a lot of people earlier because we were too busy debating still versus sparkling water for some reason. No, I don't know how that began, and I don't know why we're fighting over it, but apparently, pre-stream, that was the thing. So obviously I spotted Birchie. Nate, how's it going? I saw Kira earlier, forgot to say hi. He's gone to bed, hasn't he? Marthouse? How's it going, my dude? Also, Lear Music. And Barack. Who else we got hanging out? Silver! What's up? And Lindsay! Sorry, I almost lost you in all the people there. There's everybody in chat that I mentioned, I think.
You have a moment, Briggy. I want to check something. Hypothetical, but...
Well, me and you are the only ones not vanishing for a break, so if you can be really stealthy about it, only me, you, and chat will know.
Very well. Well, I sent you a little DM. I was looking on the Warlock wiki, essentially.
Ah.
And one of the things for 5th level Pact of the Blades, which I'm not at yet, but I could hypothetically get at, is you get an extra attack with your packed weapon.
Ooh.
However, I already have an extra attack with my monk, being level 5. Would that be stackable if I were to be level 10?
Does monk get an actual second attack? I thought it was like the martial arts stuff, so you get to use your bonuses more. This is another. This is another attack action. So your primary.
Like on my character sheet, it says on attacks, it says attacks per action 2. Like I get an actual extra attack. This is not key points. This is an actual.
Oh. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure if they stack. If anyone in chat that heard that without giving away the game can confirm if that does stack. Because if so, that makes you a very stabby, punchy boy. Whenever you take the attack action on your turn. So twice instead of once, whenever you take the attack action on your turn.
I can't get into my chocolate.
I need to look at the wording for the monk one as well then to see if they stack.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Guys, it's possible. Depending on the
Monk.
wording for the monk one, will depend on how many.
I got it here. Oh, it's the same wording? I'll send a note to you as well.
Is it the same wording?
It's similar.
Okay, so I'm a little bit concerned, like, because this chocolate has the word, you can't really see, it has the word chocolate written on it, which makes me believe that it may not be chocolate.
We will
No, but
write
it's written
chocolate
on
on the
there.
chocolate so that you know that it's chocolate,
Wait,
even if it's not chocolate. Also, the drop reset, so we can all drop again.
it's a chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit suspicious.
It's just for people that would be suspicious. Now you can be sure. And comforted in the thought that it's chocolate.
Which they're like, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
So I just read what Coffee put there. Often these chat polls give the wrong answers and reveal the low grade of opinions floating around.
Damn, coffee is savage.
I disagree, Coffee. I think if I wanted something to be sparkling, I'd just get soda. Still water taste. Sorry, sparkling water tastes of disappointment because it's not pop.
Yeah, they're literally the exact same wording. I don't know what that.
Yeah, I think I might unfortunately not stack. But I'll do some Googling between sessions and find out what other people have done. Because I would like you to have the cool thing, but I also feel like the cool thing is going to be so blatantly overpowered.
Yeah, like I'm not even sure I'm gonna go that way. It's just something I, came across and was curious about.
I'm just catching up on chats in case I missed anything related to the game, and it's all discussions about spicy water or angry water in regard to sparkling.
See, spicy water has the connotations that it's good.
Yeah.
Angry water, however,
It's just water with attitude. I am outrageous.
I did an oopsie.
Pete did it! Pete landed.
Buggers for Pete.
Well, what about practice room? What's gonna happen? Oh, practice room might be doing it.
Oh, dude, yeah, I forgot.
Oh, practice room did it. Like, just by, less than a point, right?
You're outrageous. You're a gem? Why am I gem?
I missed or deliberately ignored an awesome red-eye pun. I did? When? Sorry, I was too busy just losing my mind over the fact that A even said it.
Wait, why did... Oh, it's drop.
Oh my god, Null making Gem and the holograms references.
Wait, did I not land on the other dude as well?
Have you landed on both your accounts?
I did first. I
Wait,
tried land
it's
with
not.
Capable.
It's not land. It's similarly but legally distinct from land, so as not to incur the wrath of Violin Solo. It is drop.
I just called it land.
It's definitely not land. We didn't copy Violin Solo. It just happens to look eerily similar, using a lot of the same graphical stylings.
I wouldn't have been mad though. Why would you? What's bold of you to assume that? Ah, Silver. That's a good one.
Charles T. He's in dumbass.
Do you have to specify that?
Wow.
we wouldn't know if this be me.
Coming from Team Sparkling, that's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, I take no offense to that.
Sorry.
No, you know what? You know what? That's an I'm sorry, I just knocked you out in Tetris, sorry. Like, fuck off.
Oh my god, you guys play Tetris?
Should we settle this over at Tetris?
You're a higher level than me, eh?
Post-session Tetris fight for Team Sparkling versus Team Silver. No, that's it. That's what the tournament's going to be about. We're going to have a Tetris tournament to determine Team Sparkling versus Team Still.
Open up roll 20.
Well, I've got bubble on my team.
You said Tetris tournament, and I thought you meant actual tournament in D&D, and now I'm really sad.
We'll do both.
I don't play Tetris though.
No,
You
but
do now.
you're the scary. Yeah, you do now.
Do the D&D one.
Is chat included in the Tetris tournament? Because if yes, Bubble was on Team Sparkling.
Oh,
It's alright. Team still has. Team still has a chance.
hacking.
Okay.
You have me, which isn't much to shout about. You have me.
I'm just gonna sit here.
But he's nuts. He's like SS ranking.
Wait a minute. Just
Anyway, Tetris is for another time. Not now. Tetris comes after D&D.
What is Tetris?
You all got problems.
Can I work Tetris into D&D somehow? That is the question.
No!
Look at Barack in chat.
You all need fucking some sort of
The
intervention.
latest invention from Gabby's Goblin Workshop, Tetramaster. It's another plane of existence.
Truly is.
Anyway, is that it for break? We'll have a good break.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Feeling pretty broken.
for breaks it was pretty average. I'm not gonna lie. So.
Well, you are the master of your own breaks, so if it wasn't a satisfying break, that's on you.
Actually, yeah, Briggy, we need to talk about the quality of the breaks.
Yeah.
I don't
They're
control the
actually
breaks.
Just not,
Can't believe how sporadic they are. Just.
Well, them's the breaks.
Can
And
we
we're
have a
back.
break for like 2 hours?
I want to put the brakes on this conversation now.
I feel like we get more puns and jokes every week on D&D. It's getting worse or better. Depends on your opinion. Anyway, we're back. We're on screen. We are returning. So you guys, the entire party, you are setting off to head to Koanga via the road, correct? Taking the carriages? Is that what you determined?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alright, so heading out of Tamont, you find very little resistance in your path. The guards parting for your carriage. All of them have their eyes on the party as you leave, seemingly ensuring that you leave Tamont. And as you make it a reasonable distance from the gates of the city, any of you that turn to look behind you at the city will find that the gates have now been entirely closed to anyone attempting to enter the city. And the various oranges and reds of banners that hung from the walls around the city have been removed. Not entirely replaced, as there seems to be 1 or 2 forest green banners that you can now make out, but it does appear as if work proceeds at a good pace for making it known that the Staymore Empire has a new leader, and potentially a new name and coat of arms. But that doesn't concern you as you ride quickly away from Tamont.
Okay, bye.
Can I just retcon a decision and just say that give our compliments to Reggie, to one of the guards.
You do say that on your way out. When you were leaving, it was definitely something that you said, and it was definitely something that you noticed. The guard nearest to you, as you said that, looked like he was trying really hard to hold back a snicker.
What's a snicker?
Like literally what Charles was just doing.
Oh, I thought you meant like the chocolate.
No.
Oh,
Give me that!
like a snicker. No. Sorry, okay.
Send you a
English
Snickers
is
bar.
not my first language.
Just the Snickers bars come to life. Damn you, Reggie's mouth, main man!
So yeah, you can see that there's some humor in the guards, but they continue their job of making sure that you leave the city. And you travel for a day or so, and you find yourselves at the crossroads that would lead north towards Quanga and Guten. Yes, Em?
I was wondering, since we're going like at a chilled pace, can I use the time on the ponies to start reading the books?
You would find it somewhat difficult to do reasonably decent reading on horseback, I think.
Okay.
You could definitely read even if it's a pony. That's
okay.
A little bit like trying to read while driving. You have to have some level.
I don't know how to drive, so I could definitely read while driving.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, everyone can read while driving. It's for how long you can read while driving.
Okay, then I'll find some other time. I was just checking.
But you do make it rather uneventfully to the crossroads that would take you towards Quanga. On that travel, prior to reaching the crossroads, you do notice a fair amount of damage to the surrounding woodland. Especially when you pass the area where you made a giant fireball. That's even several days later fairly visible with scorch marks on the ground, and the various slowly rotting limbs of a few Riss in that area too as you pass by. You're not certain if this was maybe something done by yourselves or by someone else. There's a chance this could have been, at least you think, something that happened with the berserkers that were summoned by the Horn of Redites during the chase. So, whilst unable to totally pin down exactly what removed these limbs from a Riss, they're very clearly arms or other parts of Riss exoskeletons strewn around the road in that location. But no other definitive signs of Riss Slayer or any other kind of Riss activity in the area aside from the immediate destruction of woodland surrounding the road. Although by the time you reach the crossroads, the forest around you seems to have returned to the way that you expect it to look, the way that it looked on your way towards Tamont the first time, giving you no further hints as to potential Riss activity. And it's as you travel north from this crossroad, only for a short while, as the sun sets, and you guys think it would probably be a good time to think about camping.
Should we set up by the road or try and make our way a bit into the forest to be out of sight?
I agree, like, with going slightly further in.
What about the cart, though? Unless we can get Cinderella to move some trees or something. That might be a bit tricky. Or we leave the cart on the road then.
Well, Wishry did the thing where he covered the cart in vines when we were in Fontaine, if that was something that
you can do that again if you want.
That might be good. We could find a bit of, like, even a mild inlet.
Where are we pulling the cart to?
Any spot that isn't actually on the road, I reckon, would do the trick.
Okay, well...
Because that would be a bit suspicious if there's suddenly a box with leaves.
I kind of want to do that now that you mentioned it.
Nothing to be here! Do move on!
Well...
How about empty space, like circle on the map? I mean, we can't really see the map in character, but out of character there is a like enclosure thing just north of the crossroad.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you could definitely do that. If that was something you wanted to do.
Okay, so votes on where we park the carriage. Because I think they're all pretty decent ideas and stuff.
Wait, can't we just tiny hut it like anywhere we want?
Tiny hut's not that big. I don't think it will fit a carriage.
Tiny hut's not big enough for the carriage.
No.
Oh, okay.
Unless we're all in the carriage.
Yeah, it's big enough for you as a group of individuals, but not enough for the carriage nor the horses and ponies.
You
Would it
could
have been
horses
big enough
out
for a
in,
chariot? No.
Oh yeah, a chariot would totally have fit in.
Of course.
Don't even.
I mean, you might have even possibly been able to get 2 chariots in there. You don't know. You could have experimented.
You could have had it all. I really don't mind. Anywhere goes, like...
Right, I'm just gonna pull the carriage up.
Could you
Somewhere.
imagine a chariot being like carried by a giant black bear?
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool, right?
I may have to find
Anyway.
Bill next time.
Or not.
Okay, so you guys, how are you? What are you doing with the carriage? Do you say you were going to hide it? Or
Do we want to hide it?
carry
Yes.
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna put it up to a place where we can hide it effectively.
Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna use my spell slot and just throw a berry at the floor, and it just explodes in other berries and covers the carriage in like a berry bush. Discreet berry bush.
Okay, so it's the 7 of you and 2 ponies and 2 horses now, beside a totally not conspicuous box of leaves and berries.
Sounds about right. Yes.
Hey, it's Edith. People think of stranger things.
That's true. Maybe not here, but you know, across the entire world, yeah, for sure.
How have they seen? Oh.
Not the Netflix show.
Brick brain. Sorry.
It's really popular on Orc flicks.
Yes.
By which I mean one orc that's sat on a street corner telling stories to people that'll listen to him.
I want to find that orc now.
He's out there somewhere.
We need to binge watch some stories. Binge listen, actually.
Maybe there's a quest involved there. We'll find out one day.
There's a quest involved.
What?
I can sense it.
There always is. Okay, so you guys start making camp then, I presume.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So how are you guys doing this?
We have some tents, don't we?
Yep, you got all the camping supplies that you need. You camped before.
Right, so we construct a campsite, clear the ground.
Excellent.
You don't
Yep.
feel like standing guards?
Yep. All that is doable.
All right, so can we do it? All right, we're gonna clear the ground.
No, you've done it. I think.
All right.
Okay, a bit of a nudge. What I'm looking for is any of you going to stand guard? How are you planning to deal with the night?
Yes.
Right,
I
I'll
will
stand
take
guard.
first watch.
Oh, okay. Should we have 2 people standing guard or? Yeah.
Might be.
Okay,
Good idea.
I'll stand guard as well.
Okay, so Gershaw and Solgra have first watch and second watch.
I can
I
take
can do it after 4 hours of long rest.
Okay, so M and Capo are going to be taking second watch,
Whee!
and that will get you
I'm
through
gonna
the.
yeet off into the distance where no one can see and produce 40 good berries.
So you do your
Inconspicuously.
usual nighttime camping rituals, such as vanishing inexplicably to create / summon / who knows what good berries, as usual. Fanny Boss, whilst preparing for bed, does his usual backflips.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go do 20 every night.
It's how he remains so agile as such a powerful dwarf, is to train himself with backflips.
Yep. Sometimes a front flip as well, but
Yeah, if you're lucky, you might catch Fanny Boss doing a front flip for style, but not all the time. Only those lucky get to witness the glory of the front flip. The front flip is not a usual dwarven technique. It's something that only legendary fighters like Fanny Boss know how to do.
Yep.
So you've all prepared, going through your usual nighttime rituals, and Gershaw and Solgra take first watch. The night is long and dark, and you hear very little of anything beside your party. The usual sounds of the forest are replaced only by that of small bugs. Any of the larger animals of the forest that you would have normally heard being outlandishly noisy at night, as they are normally very loud. Yeah, none of that seems to exist. Only cicadas.
Are you doing a Higurashi bit on us?
Nope.
Yeah, I wonder what Shari does when he goes off every single night inconspicuously. You got any theories on that, Solgra?
Instant regret.
I'll take that as
Not
a no.
really thought about it, to be perfectly honest with you. A man can do what he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just yeah. That is a completely adequate answer.
Oh, that note that was given to you. When do you think you can open it?
Out of character, I don't know because I haven't got it yet. But in character,
I know you have the note. I just haven't sent you what would be in the note, and I'm not going to send that to you at all until the day that you open the note.
I'm not gonna lie, Solgra. I'm very, very curious as to what's in the note, but I don't know whether it's a good idea to open it immediately, as much as my impulsive nature begs me to do so.
I get that.
But yeah, I don't know whether it's gonna match the information that the succubus was talking about. I forgot her name.
Felona.
Yeah,
Felona.
that Felona was saying about, because she was saying some pretty weird stuff to me, and I don't get it.
Yeah. So you don't remember anything about your past or anything like that?
I get little memory blips here and there, but I don't even know whether they're dreams or actual memories. It's the weirdest thing. It's like it could be, or it couldn't be. I mean, I got attacked the other day, which was weird. Middle of the night, and apparently I was flying and off the floor. And this was greatly disturbing news to me, because I was indeed off the floor. Yeah. Apparently, so they're going to be back. The loner's going to be back. So part of me doesn't want to open this note because I'm pretty sure at the end of it it's going to be back. Yeah.
But wouldn't you like to have an idea of what's going on before Felona comes back? She seems to know an awful lot more about you.
I mean, look, I know I didn't pay Vitus much respect when I first met him because he talked a lot,
It's fine, neither did I.
but I do respect the man's intelligence, even though I lack it. So when he's telling me, be very careful about the contents of the note, I don't know whether it's a good idea to open it now when we got a drawn situation to handle. Sometimes you got to put the needs of the many over the needs of the few. In this case, I think helping Jorn definitely outweighs my need to find out about my past. For now. Anyway, how did you, if you don't mind me asking, how did you get those burns? You seem to not like Corporis too much. Was it like I know obviously because he's a warlock, so I assume it was something to do with that, but no worries if you don't want to say anything.
Much like you, I don't think it's the right time.
That's fair enough. By the way, have you had any... You mentioned you had any weird dreams. Have you ever had a dream about a big buff dude in green threads?
I don't think so. Why, is that something that comes to you often?
No. The other day I had a seizure. And out of that seizure came that image. Whatever that says about me, I don't know.
The only person I remember with green, with any sort of green clothes, is Kevlan. But you said he was buff, and
Kevlan wasn't buff.
Buff
no, I mean
Kevlar.
you said that the dream was buff.
Yeah.
The dream was buff. The dream was buff.
The dream man was buff.
Maybe the phallic barbarian's coming to find you.
I am the phallic barbarian.
Maybe you've besmirched his name and he's actually coming for you now.
I'm unsure about how that can be. And as soon as that's come into play, 2 seconds. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. But I don't know whether this links to anything of what we've been going through recently with the risks or anything like that. But all of this stuff started happening since I started helping you guys out, because I've been trying to search for memories for a long time beforehand. The reason why I was like doing all the traveling and stuff like that and doing the soldiering and the monk thing is to try and find some form of memory. Didn't work out too well though, and being a soldier sucks because you work under dicks. And then being with monks, you're with people who are pretentious assholes all the time, so, you know, take the punchy things, learn those, and then all the meditation stuff can get on out of here. And then, yeah.
Both Caporius and Shareed take 1 pretentious emotional damage.
You might have done well where I came from.
Where was that?
Pretentiousness there. Have you ever heard of the fighting pits of the Aragath?
No, never.
Not many people have. They're kind of an underground thing. Highly illegal.
Sounds like my jam, to be fair.
That's how I met John, actually.
Oh. Did he, like, smash some skulls?
I think he came under the pretension that he was trying to break it up. Like, he was hired to break it up, but he's still fighting. Decided to get stuck in.
I mean, that sounds like John. I mean, well, you know, the first time we met, just punching each other randomly. I think it's the way which you kind of just do things around anywhere. Seems to be the best way.
Also, you wouldn't, Solgra didn't see Gersha and John punching each other because Solgra wasn't there.
Oh yeah, well, then I'll retcon that. The first time we met, he decided to challenge me to a bit of a slugfest, and that's what we did. We punched each other, and that was enough to measure each other up, and that was it. I think we had like 3 fist fights, and they were all pretty even.
I got my arse handed to me.
Fair. He might have been holding back on me though, I'm not sure, because he was trying to hire us. So, who knows? Then again, I mean, if he kicked your ass and you're like 7 foot, I'm like 5'8". So.
I was younger then.
So was I.
I think I'd be able to take him down now.
So the two of you continue having your conversation, and nothing out of the ordinary happens on your entire watch for the first 4 hours, and night passes peacefully until it's time for second watch, and Caporius and M must take over and keep an eye out. So as M and Caporius take your spots and the two of you retire for the rest of the evening, Gershaw, while you are asleep, roll a Constitution saving throw for me, please.
I already rolled another one as well. And you didn't give me that memory. And I succeeded in that one, remember? Is it saving throw?
Keep dangling
Yes,
the
it is.
same memory the rest of the campaign.
20.
But not a natural. That's fine. You take no damage.
What?
But anyone around you will notice at some point during the night that you start to seize in your sleep. And finally, before we move over to Capo and M on watch, Shlee, roll a Constitution saving throw for me, please.
It's been a while since I've rolled anything.
Your con's in the top left, Constitution saving throw. In the saving throw bit, not the con bit. Little box in the top left.
Okay.
For saving throws. You also take no damage. It's all good. Okay, so M and Caporius, you guys are sat on watch.
Morning, sunshine.
It is quite literally too early.
Is it
So-
or is that 4 hours? Oh yeah, you need a lot of sleep for that dragon skin, right?
Moving past that, so what do you make of all this then, eh? Giant acidic monsters everywhere, cities under siege. Do you ever just think, no more, I'll take off, go live my life in peace and hope it doesn't get to me?
Where I come from, it's basically like this all the time. So now I've got friends, I think. Would you like a rolly?
Nah, that's okay.
Oh, I just sadly make one by myself with my amber and my leaves. And... What about you?
Well, I don't really have anywhere to go to, I suppose.
Why not?
No. Well, nowhere to go back to. No real place that I could be going to, other than just following the road. Following the company.
Do you not have a home?
I used to. I don't think they'd be happy to see me there again, though. Didn't exactly leave on best of terms.
Were you a meanie?
I'd like to think not, but appreciate you
Were they
assuming that.
meanie?
Yeah.
Oh. What did they
Yeah.
do?
Well, let's just say I was not. If it was up to them, I would not be standing here talking to you today. Would not
They
have.
wanted to kaput the Caparius.
Let's call it that. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't think it would be funny when I said it. And then I said it. Well, fair. It's hard to be liked in places. This world
Okay,
and not
dude.
in this world.
What's that now?
In this world and not in this world. So
Is there another world?
Well, where I'm from, I wouldn't say it's this world.
How does that work?
My world. It's pretty. It's got lots of colors.
Gaporius.
Fair enough. Yes.
Roll a perception check for me.
Well. Wait, 9. Wait. What just happened?
That was, that was a 9 on perception.
I must have seen Solgress thing. Yeah, 9.
Yeah. Roll a perception check for me.
$22.
Okay, so Caporius, you're too busy trying to make sense of the things that M is telling you right now, but M, you notice off in the distance from the clearing, at this point you're about an hour before you expect the rest of your party or so to regain consciousness and stop sleeping, and you spot what looks like a small animal corpse. Corpse.
They dead.
It looks like some sort of carrion from a distance, but you can't tell from where you are.
What?
But you didn't notice it earlier.
How far is it from me, kinda?
It's kind of at the tree line, in the clearing that you're currently camping in.
Left or right?
Away from the road. So there's the road, there's you, and then you've spotted this
Okay.
now just beside, between trees.
Okay.
It's just now come to your attention.
Okay. Okay, look! Do you see that? There's something.
Forest.
Yeah.
What am I seeing?
A corpse of an animal that I don't know what animal it is that Brigitte just said.
Oh. It's dead.
So eventually,
They dead.
eventually, once you start to focus more on this Caporius, you'll also be able to make it out. But it takes you just a little while to sort of stop thinking about whatever it was that M was trying to describe to you that you were having trouble comprehending. But now you also see this this small animal corpse just on the tree line.
Should we go check it out? I don't think it was there before, or maybe I didn't see it, but it would be weird if I didn't see it. But maybe I think we should go and check it.
Let's.
We go.
So the two of you approach the creature from a distance, and as you get closer, step by step, it looks as if it could be the remains of a rabbit. It looks about that size. And as you step closer and closer, you realize just how mangled and torn this particular carcass is. It doesn't look like it was killed by humanoids at the very least. This seems more feral.
Is it still warm?
Upon examining it and getting closer, you can find that no, it is actually quite cold to the touch. And it doesn't appear to be actively bleeding, the blood all appears to be coagulated.
Does it look like there's acid burns?
Not that you can tell, at least from what remains of it.
What do you think of this? Doesn't look pretty.
Something that was hungry.
It's
Definitely hungry.
after you've done your initial examination, you notice that there are other carcasses strewn deeper into the woods that are now in sight. And Capo, you hear a familiar voice. Caporius! Caporius, do you hear me?
I think yes.
Wait, what? Yes, what?
I hear you thinking yes, so I will continue. You
Am
are
I
in
hearing?
grave danger. M does not hear me, only you, Caporius, can hear me.
Sorry, Bahamut. I'm a big fan.
No worries, I'm also a big fan, M. Caporius!
Of me, of you.
How are you talking without hearing each other? What's going on?
Caporius, I'm a god. Your god specifically, I'm a god. But Caporius, you are in grave danger. If you are to succeed in your mission, wake your companions and leave this place immediately. Do not idle in this task, it may cost you your life. Run, Caporius.
Yeah, we need to get the party. We need to get out of here.
Wait, what?
I start walking towards the tents.
You start walking towards the tents.
Sorry, no. I start running towards
Run,
the tent. Please, Muhammad, please.
Like, why are you running? What's wrong?
Quite literally, my god came to me and told me we're fucked if we stay here. Cards on the table. That's what it is.
Now?
Now.
Should I come?
Yes, please. That was
Okay.
yes.
What about the things?
They are dead rabbits. Let's leave them as they are on the floor. They are dead rabbits.
But we. Oh, okay, fine.
God, I'm a monk. I don't have armor
Am
or
I
anything.
quicker than Capodius?
Mm.
Imagine if I'm quicker and I just sprint past you. Like, okay.
I just shout. I went back in the camp. I shout.
Yeah, that'll be
Get
enough to raise an alarm.
What was that?
That would be enough to raise an alarm. You could just yell.
Yeah, pretty much. Now imagining Caporius over the mountains with that video playing.
Yes. So go ahead. What are we going to yell to the party?
I'm gonna yell, "Get up! It is morning time." But also we need to go, like, now, so get up.
Are you yelling all of that? Can you demonstrate it first?
Yes. Sorry, neighbors. Get up! We need to
I
go!
get scared and sympathetically resonate whatever you do at high volume.
That is enough to wake the entire party from their slumber.
What? Okay, let's do this. What?
I go to Farid and tell him to lift the spell on the cart and make.
I lift the spell from the card.
Actually, well, no, we should probably like yeet the tents, should we? I feel conflicted now.
Won't we travel faster in the cart than we will on foot?
Yes. Details. But he's come to me and he's told me we're in danger. We need to leave. Something is wrong with this place.
Also, there's dead rabbits all over the forest.
If that convinces you, yes, dead rabbits. We need to go because dead rabbits. But also, God.
Okay, I'm gonna, not that I put faith in gods, but I'll tell you what, let's get the hell out of here. Don't bother with the tents or else we're probably gonna die.
Sorry, I'm just going to have to interrupt for a second and admit that I hit the wrong button with Reaper at one point and I lost sound, so I didn't get all of that plan there. Neither did Chad.
Oh, it was just yeet.
Just yeet? Okay, cool. That's fine. Yes.
I make my way to saddle up into the driver's seat of the carriage.
Okay, you do all of that just perfectly as expected, and we're going to pretend I didn't mess up Reaper, but it was worth it for that little moment of Bahamut. Yeah, so you guys all gather your stuff together, you tear down the tents as quickly as you can, pack whatever you can grab. You don't lose a lot of items doing this, but it's a very rushed process, and you take off at high speed, travelling north up the road. On Corporius's behest, nothing around you signifies any immediate danger. None of you sense anything is wrong, but you immediately begin to travel at high speed. And as a matter of fact, nothing obvious happens that would seem to be dangerous in any form. As the sun rises and turns to day again, you find yourself travelling eventually slightly slower than you had been when you initially legged it from your campsite. And eventually everything seems quite peaceful, and most of you are uncertain as to what actually happened and why Corporius freaked out in the way that he did, causing you to leave.
Whilst I'm on top of the carriage, can I use one key point to use Visage the Astral Self?
I thought you were going to tell me why. Yeah, you can. Why?
Oh. It's just for 10 minutes I gain astral sight, so I can see both magical and non-magical stuff to distance 120 feet, just to basically just see what's going on around.
Understandable. Wait, so it's magical and non-magical for 120 feet?
Yep.
Have a nice day. Sorry.
That was needed. I appreciate that.
Was it though?
And I'm assuming you're. It's still just line of sight, though, isn't it? You can't see through things.
Yeah, I can't. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 120 feet.
Okay.
I also gain advantage on wisdom and on insight and intimidation checks, and it's also that world of the spirit thing where I can like direct things to like so that they can only hear me within 60 feet.
Yeah.
Whether alternatively I can amplify my voice so that all creatures can hear me within 600 feet.
Okay, cool.
Just so you know the rules for the future.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, you can do that. You've now done that.
Okay, cool.
And you guys are traveling as a party, and you slow down because you can't keep up a rushed, fearful pace like that for too long. And like I said, the sun has risen, and you continue traveling northward on the road. It's going to take you another almost full day to make your way to Kawanga.
But can I talk to Bucky for a second?
You most certainly can.
Bucky, do you see anything from that other vision that you have, like the one that's not the seven of us here, but the one that's further away?
You don't hear anything for a while from Bucky, and after a short amount of time, the soulstone in your possession begins to resonate and start making an odd sound as it appears to be activating. And suddenly you hear the voice of Bucky in your mind at first, as he says, "My apologies, Master Sharid. I was dormant. Would you prefer if I spoke out loud or like this?"
Out loud is good.
And everything you hear from Bucky from this point forward will be spoken out.
Sharid in the carriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we hear it from outside the carriage?
Faintly.
Okay.
So you remember when we did that experiment and you saw an extra perspective from far north? Do you still see it?
And again, it takes a small amount of time before a response is heard, but this time it's heard out loud from the soulstone in your hands. And Bucky responds, "I'm afraid I no longer see anything. Master Sharid. Only myself through your eyes.
I'm gonna just like toss a handful of good berries on top of Bucky. Last time you were hungry, I wonder, is it the same?
How are you doing? Like, describe it to me.
I'll hold Bucky in my hands and I'll put the good berries on top of Bucky, like cradling good berries plus Bucky together.
How many?
20.
20 good berries. So it's gonna form like at least a layer 2 berries thick, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you neither see nor hear anything, but you get the distinct impression that something has happened. And upon inspecting the berries closely, the layer closest to Bucky seems to have vanished, although those that form the top layer remain.
Okay, I pocket the extra good berries.
So that's half, so about 10 good berries gone.
Okay.
And after a few moments, you hear Bucky speaking out again. Master Sharid, I appear to have regained some vision. I see through the eyes of those closest.
But not the one far away.
Again, it takes some time, as if calculating, before you finally hear the voice say, "No. I cannot find that presence, Master Sharid."
Join an experiment. I wonder if you can see through the eyes of something that I summon.
He says, "Yes, yeah, you can go try that."
Alright, I'm gonna summon 2 giant eagles.
Alright, so you summon the 2 giant eagles, and of course they suddenly become corporeal in the sky above the party, as they are summoned from seemingly thin air, and...
It took me a sec, I thought you said...
not corporeal,
they become
corporeal.
glorious.
His name is very close to an actual word.
She just got confused.
So, the eagles appear, and they are soaring in the sky, high above the carriage, and Bucky eventually says to you, "It does not appear that I have gained any extra vision, Master Sharid."
Okay. Well, thank you for experimenting.
Actually?
I can hear all of this going on because I'm in the carriage.
Yes, you can.
Right. Can I lean over to a Shreed and say, so there's an extra pair of eyes that Bucky can see. We did have an extra party member. We can see through. We did have an extra party member.
Yeah,
Now,
it was North, and he was seeing visions of a forest.
It's just a thought. I'm just thinking of things that link us together.
Do you think it would be Joran or Kevlin?
I'm thinking it may possibly be Sefelda.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why the vision went away. Why you can't see it anymore.
I don't know. It's just a hunch. I don't have any concrete evidence, but I'm just thinking of people that may be linked with us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, want to ride an eagle?
And so
I checked their stats. They can carry 480 pounds and up to 4 people.
They can what?
Yeah.
Nani?
Yeah, apparently they have 16 strength, so 16 times 15 times 2, because they're a large beast, means they carry 480 pounds.
And you can summon 2 of these with 1 spell slot.
Yeah.
What the hell, wizards? Druid broken. Fix, please.
Anyways, super funny, if anyone wants to ride a giant eagle.
I can't hear this, but I get excited for no reason.
So those of you that want to ride a giant eagle can apparently ride a giant. God damn it! Why?
Yeah, I'd give it a go.
Why can you?
Can I bring
summon
my
eagles?
pony? Not now, but in the future.
I don't
you
want
say
to
cast on the
allow
pony?
them to carry a pony and a person. That feels broken. I know the
Um,
rules as
what-
written says it should, but that feels broken.
What if it carried the pony like in its claws?
That's-
like
yeah. Oh my god.
Maybe they can bring 2 ponies because we have
I mean,
two
if he
ponies.
summons enough eagles, technically he can carry the carriage. It's just saying.
And in today's episode of Wisharine Breaks the Game,
I've never been so simultaneously proud and angry at Cactus before. Where's the average weight of a pony?
The things you have to Google.
Right?
Sorry.
And Google is not loading on my phone now. Great, it doesn't.
I got you.
In pounds, preferably, because I believe that's what it was on the rules. Damn it, Bragg. African or European
Usually
pony.
range, Oh, a Shetland pony is Also, a lean racing fit thoroughbred, for example, has an average weight of 900 to 1,100 pounds. Ponies, on the other hand, usually range from 200 pounds for a Shetland pony to 1,400 pounds for a bigger pony like Halflinger. So if it's a Shetland pony, then it'll be 200 pounds.
It kind of is a Shetland pony, isn't it? What was the weight limit on
a
those eagles
Shetland
again?
pony.
480. So they
480.
can carry 2.
So it could carry both ponies in its talons.
Yeah.
It couldn't carry people, though. At
No,
the same
yeah,
time.
Me and Fanny both
Yeah,
are tiny.
It
Yeah.
can, because if M is less than 80 pounds, then both ponies can be carried in
But
both
Fanny
claws.
Boss isn't.
No,
No.
Fanny Boys wouldn't be
Sorry.
able to. The Fanny Boys would have to
Oh, we have
ride-
2 eagles.
Yeah,
Right? So
the
one
Fanny Boys
eagle
can be the
for.
eagle.
What I'm saying is you can't carry the entire party. You could carry 2 ponies, and then the other eagle would be able to carry everything else.
Yep,
But not everybody or everything.
yep.
Yeah. And disclaimer, they only last for 1 hour.
Good. There's a limitation. Thank God.
So make sure you're not still on the eagle when it expires.
Right, 2 hours though.
1 hour.
1 hour.
That's still not too bad though.
Anyways, if anyone wants to go on a joyride for probably 55 minutes at this point,
Can you give them a command to land before they expire?
yes.
Before they
Aha.
expire. Like, is anybody check the eagle's expiration date? When does it go off?
The eagle's gone bad.
Oh lord. Okay. Yes, those of you wishing to mess around an eagle can now fly on an eagle for about 55 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so Oscar and I assume M at some point is going to have a go. So Oscar and M will have spent some time flying on eagles. And while you guys are up there, you can see from the height advantage that you've got that you're only about 2 or 3 hours out of Kawanga at this point. Yes, Em?
If I leave the pony to walk with the cart, then I'll maybe tie the cart.
It will follow along, yeah.
Can we bring more people if more people wanna come on the eagle? I don't wanna have Rahal to take space of other people.
I mean,
So
he
it's
can
480
summon
pounds
them,
and 4
so-
people.
So yeah, does anyone else wanna eagle?
I yell up into the air. Look for signs of the scary monster that Caporius saw while you're up there, and I just go back and chill inside the carriage.
I like that you, as an Aarakocran, could just do this yourself at any given time.
Delegation.
And
Can we?
I'm the idea guy.
Perception check.
yeah, I was gonna say,
See?
can I perception check? Whilst my
Stop
visage
asking if you can
selected?
perception check and tell me what you're actually trying to do.
Well,
See the
check whether there's
danger.
anything around, like anything following or anything in the tree line.
Can we
which I
have
can
the
see.
answer, please, Briggy? Tell us what we need to do.
Right. So while
You
you're
got
there,
scared.
you can see from a distance that, again, you're about 2 to 3 hours out from Kawanga. You can just kind of make out the village at this distance from the altitude that you reach on the Eagle. And looking around at the woodland around you, you can see in the distance to your southwest Tamont, you can see the entire walled city from this height, including the spire of the palace in the center. And between you and Tamont, you see various unnatural-looking clearings in the trees. Not any of them looking overly large, but you can most certainly see that there are some there. Just breaks in natural formations of the trees that would indicate something below the canopy potentially being a bit sus. It gives you a bad feeling when you look in that direction.
Oscar, can you see that?
Can I see that?
You can see that.
I can see that. Yes, affirmative.
Glad we worked that out.
What do you think made it?
Beats
Something
me.
not good. Do you make it? How do you make it?
No, I said beats me.
Oh, it beats me. I thought you said it's me, and I was like, what?
I did.
Yep, that's mine.
But
I did that.
It's hard to hear on the Eagles. There's lots of wind.
Lots of wind.
Oscar, we always go on these adventures.
We do. This is an excellent adventure. I don't know how I'm having this quite, intricate conversation with you while up
On
here
a giant
in the
eagle.
wind.
This entire conversation is being yelled back and forth, and everyone in the party below you can hear snippets, if not entire chunks, of this conversation because it's being yelled so loud.
I love it.
Cactus, you don't need to ask. Like, Shri doesn't have to ask when they get back. You know what they've seen already just because of the yelling. And just to clear it up, Bucky also relays what he sees through their eyes to you as well.
Can I see? Can I hear any of that information?
Oh, I mean, you're sat on top of the carriage. You most certainly hear the screams of the conversation happening between Oscar and M at altitude. And anything for about 600 meters around you has probably heard echoes of it throughout the forest.
Can I do a perception check in that direction with my vision?
You can look in that direction, and if a perception check is required, I will inform you. But
looking
in that direction...
I'm looking in that direction, then.
You see nothing but tree line, as what M and Oscar are seeing is a very long way away at this point.
Yeah, as long as there's nothing close to us, I'm cool. I just want to make sure there's nothing in the immediate vicinity. That's fine.
Can we try and go closer with the eagles over the forest?
You can certainly try.
I like the sound of that. Not.
It does look as if these clearings are further away, even by eagle, than you'd be able to get in an hour.
I don't want to go like in and land, just like try to get closer and see if there's anything that we can see.
Getting as close as you dare based on the time limit of the Eagle's flights and not leaving the party behind too much and having to factor in the round trip to travel towards it and travel back safely, you managed to discover little that you couldn't see already. Whatever sinister secrets lie beneath the tree's canopy remain hidden to you for now.
No, we shouldn't have taken the woods. Now we don't know what's going on.
I mean, we could have stayed when Gabori said run, but I don't think that was a good idea, to be honest. The fact that he was like, literally, when Briggy has to DMify in universe and be like, you guys are going to die. Then
when God tells you to run, you run.
But Caporius told us to run, not the god.
True, which is why Caporius ran and would have probably left you behind.
And no one questioned it, even like half a day later. Everyone was like, yeah.
Yep, this entire travel, and not one person's like, so why did we run?
We can discuss this when we get to Kawanga.
Yeah, I asked why we were woken up, and then you said, my god said we're gonna run, and I was like, huh.
Understandable. Have a nice run.
Yeah.
Right, so, I guess we continue our trip towards Kawanga then.
So little else happens on your travels to Kawanga. You make it to the outskirts of the village, unimpeded, with no major problems arising and no further issues occurring. And it's as you reach the outskirts of the village, you start to get your first reasonably good look at Kawanga as a village. It sits on the shore of the inlet, which you know from your maps would eventually lead into Lake Angor. But of course, this body of water here that you can see is the coastline and the ocean. And the road leads downhill towards the coastline and towards the village. The first thing that strikes you about this village, outside of it being coastal, and it's been a while since you've seen, the ocean and a coastal village that hasn't been some sort of port authority, is that the architecture immediately strikes you as significantly different to everywhere that you've already visited, at least within the Staymore Empire. Its buildings don't attempt to raise too high. Most buildings look as if they could be a single story. Some buildings even built into the earth itself. And the distinct lack of any form of banner or flag or any defining authoritarian presence telling you that this is a part of the Staymore Empire.
That's good at least.
Is, oh no, sorry, Kawanga's still... Okay, that scared the shit out of me for a second. No, it's still, like, in the same empire, isn't it? Like you were saying, like, it's not necessarily...
Yeah, but you're not seeing any kind of banner or signage the way that you'd seen it in other towns and cities so far within the Empire. Nothing here screams that it's, proud to be a member of any such empire.
I guess I drive the carriage to closest stable.
So you enter the village proper, and you can see that there are townsfolk all around going about their business. You can see that it also operates as a reasonably sized fishing village, and you can see that the boats currently moored and the day's catch being brought in. The boats don't look like any of the boats that you've seen, at least within your home regions, and also whatever you've seen in Stumpleton and Great Stumpleton. These seem more primitive, made up of as minimalistic amount of materials as required for making a buoyant vessel that can carry any degree of people and cargo. The general clothing of the populace also seems to edge more towards minimalist and unpretentious, I suppose. Something about the populace, Caporius, Sharid, and Gershaw, the three of you all get a very familiar vibe from them, as you would have done from the various monk sects that you were each part of. Whichever path that you followed all have some degree of overlap, and you can see that these tenants are held by this village as you approach it. And as you get to what you think, at least from what Gershaw, Sharid, and Caporius now would probably serve as some sort of inn or public house, something strikes you as very odd when you see that the overwhelming amount of people aren't human. Make no mistake, humans make up a fairly large portion of this populace, but they are a minority here, and the few of you that are familiar with them will notice that a good majority of the humanoids that you're coming across are, in fact, hobgoblin.
Right.
Cool.
Um,
I continue
in terms
to
of
wait. Oh, sorry.
buildings, is there any tavern or any prominent-looking building that we might spot?
Yeah, so you managed to find a building that looks like it could serve the same purpose as a tavern, but it doesn't seem to... It doesn't boast the same rowdy, drunken crowds that you're used to seeing in other taverns across the land. It's also built more openly.
Okay. Should we try and stash our cards somewhere and try and
Yeah, I'm gonna make the way towards a stable or something.
make
so
our
we
way
can-
into the town? Ask around, see if we can find any trace. Solga, did Jorn leave any clue as to where we might find them?
I'll have a quick look at the note again. God damn it.
Meanwhile, can I ask Bucky if he senses the 8th member anymore?
Again, Bucky is not quite used to responding to you immediately when you initially speak to him, so it takes you some time before you get a response. This time, out loud, as he's been instructed to in the past. Eventually, Bucky responds with, "I only see through the eyes of 7.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bucky.
You are quite welcome.
And
Master Shrew.
I give him a good berry, wondering if he's hungry.
You're assigned to realize that Bucky will not consume matter if it is the only matter that's visible.
Fair enough. I'll wait until later when there's more good berries.
So, you bring the horses, ponies, and cart around to a stable next to the, for lack of a better word, tavern. And you are greeted by a particularly tall and well-built hobgoblin. He's sporting a long beard and thick moustache and a top knot as he looks up at you. Gershaw specifically, who's on top of the carriage. And though showing little emotion, he does speak to you, and he asks you first, "Why are you here?"
On business.
And he regards you for a moment in silence, before saying, "And for how long?"
Uncertain, but it shouldn't be longer than a week.
And he gives you a small, courteous bow, and says, "And finally, your name?"
Gershaw. Nathaniel Berry.
And he begins, without words, to lead your carriage, horse, and ponies into the stable. And several other hobgoblins join him and begin to take care of your animals even before you've dismounted. And another older-looking hobgoblin approaches you, entering the stable behind you, and he places a hand on Gershaw's shoulder as you get off the carriage, and he greets you with a thin smile, and he says, "How many of your party are there?"
There's me and 6 others, so 7 in total.
And he gives you a nod and says, "Make your way when you're ready into the tavern, and we shall show you your lodgings."
that sounds very kind of you. We haven't normally received this kind of reception without seeking it in other towns. Were you expecting us?
We never expect anybody here.
So why are you offering us lodgings for free without any... Well, not for free, but, you know,
No,
immediately.
They are free. You will conduct your business in a peaceful manner, and then you may leave.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anything we need to know? I'm going to do a perception check on, like, his general thing to see if he's hiding anything or whatever.
Roll insight for me.
Okay. Oh, I've got a fucking good one on that one. That's good. $16.
You get the general sense that he's being honest with you and sincere. Although you can tell that he's being fairly reserved, as is everyone that you've currently spoken to thus far in the village.
That's general monk-like behavior, though, isn't it? With the
Yeah,
sex and
you get that sense.
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Is the carriage and everything is whatever. So yeah. Did everyone else hear the conversation which we just had, or?
Yeah, you would have just gone off the carriage. So anyone around you, the entire party would have heard that.
Alright, great stuff. Then, so guys, what do you want to do? Should we make our way over to the lodge? See what's going on.
Yeah.
I asked the hobgoblin, was there a large figure? And I showed a pin with Jorn's face on it that looks like this around.
And he squints at the pin that you're holding and strokes his beard for a moment and says, "Yes, I believe he's been here."
Where is he now?
Recently?
And he nods again. "Yes, very recently."
Okay, thank you very much.
Is he still here?
No, no longer. And at that he turns and walks slowly, leading the party towards the tavern.
Did you chat with the large man, and did you get an idea at where he went?
And he holds his hand up, palm face towards you, and says, "Quiet now. First, we dine. Then we will discuss this friend of yours."
Okay.
And he slides
Okay.
the door to the building and enters. And as the party follow him inside, you see many long tables that are only about shin high or so. No chairs, but a tidy amount of food slowly being laid out on the tables in a small banquet setting. Several of the humans and hobgoblins already knelt before each table, and you can see there is space for up to 10 more at the end of this particular table in the center, as the old man, the hobgoblin, gestures palm out towards the table and says, "Please, sit."
Praise be to the floor. You guys know how to eat.
You get no major emotional reaction from anyone around you, just a nod as the old man kneels before the table with the setting in front
Take
of
a
him.
seat.
Looking around, you can see most of the patrons of this tavern already knelt before a table. Very much carry the air of some monastic tradition about them that Gershaw, Caporius, and Shri will be familiar with. But off to the side, a smaller table sits in a corner, mirrored in the tavern by one on the opposite side. One of these tables appears to be filled with much more humble-looking humans and hobgoblins, wearing very simple sack clothing, and you get the air of labor about them, and you remember seeing this kind of this kind of attire on the fishermen that were reeling in today's haul. And mirrored on the opposite side of the tavern, you see 5 very big, very strong looking hobgoblins dressed in ornate layered armor made of exquisitely coloured and gilded plates, but in a configuration that you're not familiar with. Especially Fanny Boss, you take particular interest as this is an entirely different kind of armor to what you're used to seeing sort of come out of the dwarven forges. If anything, it looks as if it could be placed somewhere between the manufacturing processes of the dwarves and the elves. It carries resemblance to both, but is neither. And in silence, you are served various interestingly strange dishes that are placed in front of each of you, with what you believe to be meat, but it looks somewhat unidentifiable.
I immediately start eating without questioning it.
What are the rest of you doing?
I will eat as well.
Sprinkle some good berry seasoning and eat as well.
Can I inspect the meat?
You can.
What do I roll?
You don't have to roll anything. You spend some time sort of prodding and poking at your food, turning it over, giving it a bit of a sniff, trying to find out what it is. It hits you eventually that it is raw.
How raw?
Raw. like a good vet could probably bring it back raw.
Who's sitting next to me?
I imagined that it was Oscar sat next to you.
Are you eating this?
Like, across the table, I just kind of like spot that you're not eating them. So if you don't have it, I'll have it. It's all good.
Shut up, this is mine. Don't take my stuff.
It depends. It depends what kind of meat it is, but like...
Exactly. Who's on the other side?
You can deduce that this is fish.
Oh, well then, it's sushi, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You can.
This is definitely something that none of you in your regular walks of life would have come across, apart from maybe Shareed.
Necromancy intensifies.
Please don't make my food move.
Very tempted, but I hold it in and just continue putting good berry sauce on my dishes.
Yeah. Every time you finish a dish, a new one is brought out to you at speed. They vary in style. Everything seems to either be fish or vegetable based, and each dish is very minimalistic with not a lot on it. But you find yourselves getting very full in a very short amount of time. Slugger?
Is there any lids?
There is 2 large bowls in the center of each table, covered with large lids.
Any more like smaller lids?
None of the dishes you see before you, or any sort of containers for food, have got small lids. There's just 1 or 2 really big ones. You can't tell what's in the cauldrons or pots on the table that are covered in lids, but you can see that they have a small fire under each of them, and are definitely making a bubbling sort of sound. As you come close to finishing your meal, it's towards the end that the old man, who's sat next to Gershaw, reaches over and removes the lid from the cauldron in the center, revealing it to be full of more meat, again unidentifiable, and the smell hits you and smells close to pork, is the closest thing that you could assume it to be.
Does it smell cooked?
It does smell cooked, yes. It's
Immediately goes and gets a bowl and puts them in and starts eating.
okay. The elder, seeing Gershaw do this, looks to the rest of the party, and again, in that same low voice and emotionless manner, smiles at the party and says, "Your friend seems eager, but do not force yourself to eat this dish if you are not comfortable with it."
Why would we not be comfortable with it?
And he looks at you and says, "Not all races are comfortable eating their own."
Immediately spits it out.
Well, what is this meat?
And stands up and like goes somewhere else.
Bruh.
Wait, is that human meat in the
Yep.
thing?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
But it's cooked. So
It
at
is
least,
Paul.
at least it was cooked.
I mean, no one here is human except for Gershaw.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the only one who's just eating it.
Yeah, he's the one who just ate it.
I mean, it's fine for the rest of you.
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
half human, it seems a little bit weird.
I think I'm not hungry. I want to go outside and smoke. This doesn't seem the place where I could smoke inside. So
I
did
offer
not walk
Kaporia
outside.
some good berry dipping sauce.
I take it graciously and enjoy myself a good meal.
Are you eating the human? Or just
I'm a dragon. I'm not bothered.
While this is happening, I'm going to sit and give Death's glare.
Emotional night.
So who else is anybody else apart from Capo eating human?
Nah, I'm just the instigator.
Okay.
Also, I need to be back very, very shortly. I think what you're saying.
Meat
gonna go
made
ball.
him sick.
In character, Gershaw was like ralphing all over the floor.
So eventually the meal finishes up. Gershaw is outside, as is having a smoke. And the elder, he looks at the remaining party as you finish your meal, even if you didn't partake in the contents of the cauldron. And he says, "We must clean this area. If you would all please make your way outside for a moment and let us continue our work." The other hobgoblins and humans in this establishment already standing and beginning to move the tables that you're not at and pack them away to reveal more floor space. Yep.
Get up and
Can I ask if they require help?
The elder, he looks at you and he smiles and says graciously, "I appreciate the thought, but no thank you. This part we must do for ourselves." And you can see as you're leaving the tavern stand outside the diligent work that is being done by the humans and hobgoblins in the tavern as they sweep away and clear the entire area with diligence. And by the time the elder slides the door and allows you back inside, you can see that only a few cushioned seats, like pillows that are on the ground, remain, and the rest of the floor space remains entirely open and empty. And as he walks back in, the elder walks to the far end of this space and sits cross-legged in front of the party on one of these seats. Either wall lined by a mixture of humans and hobgoblins on either side. It's at this point, as the party enters, that the elder motions for you to sit before him on the floor.
Alright, take a seat.
See,
sit.
Okay, so as the party all sit together in front of this elder, wizened-looking hobgoblin, this is when he finally is able to speak more openly with you. And so he says, "You arrived at a most inopportune time to our village. I am most sorry if any of what you saw offended you. I'm sure you must have many questions, and now is the time that I can answer them.
What's in the woods?
What are the dishes called?
And I don't have any fancy name for fantasy sushi, but that's what it was. It's a
Do you get many?
It's a fishing village. They got a lot of fish.
And humans.
Do they have a lot of human too?
There's a lot of humans as well, yeah, but they don't look as if they're being treated any worse than any of the other hobgoblins.
How is your relation to nearby cities?
And he takes a moment to think about how he's going to word this. He says, our relations are tenuous. We exist within the boundaries of the Staymore Empire, though we are not of the Empire.
I see.
Many travellers.
Sorry, say that again, Ashley, you broke up.
Yeah. Do you get many travellers?
No, we rarely receive those from the outside. This village is mostly self-sustaining. We have some trade, very little of it, especially since Crowholm ceased to exist.
What do you
What
mean
is
cease
Crowholm?
to exist?
Some months ago, possibly longer, we try not to pay too much attention to the other villagers. A traveller made his way to Crowholm, and shortly after, there was no Crowholm.
This wasn't any ordinary traveler, I take it.
How astute of you. I would assume he was some form of dark magic user. Though he remains in Crowholm and does not worry this village, and therefore does not worry its village's people.
Is there
So,
a description of this stranger?
Not a very good one. He was fond of robes, it would seem.
I pull out a robe from my pocket or whatever undisclosed location where I keep objects, and ask if it looks like this one.
Similar.
I show the cultist robe.
Similar, but not the same. It lacked the gold trimmings.
So it was unadorned?
Indeed.
Okay. And I put my cloak back in whatever undisclosed location I used to store objects.
This is the moment he takes to look at Gershaw, and he says, "I would have warned you earlier of the contents of the pot, but you were altogether too eager to indulge in the feast."
I don't blame you. I'm understandably uncomfortable with the revelation.
And he widens his arms and gestures to the rows of hobgoblins and humans sat either side of the party along the walls of the tavern, and says, "Please do not misunderstand. We are not cannibalistic by nature. What you happened upon was a traditional funeral for our ways.
Oh.
And
Well,
we thank you for sharing in the glory of one of our fallen. We understand to outsiders this process can be somewhat traumatic."
well, I didn't mean to disrespect
No, it is all very well. You were not to know our ways.
Well, I appreciate the understanding. You're much more understanding than other sects that I've been a part of.
And he nods and says, "That is expected. The tenets that we follow here are not of the other ways, not of the monastic traditions of the Eastern continent. I train, live, and work within this village, the final bastion of Hobgoblin civilization, which has stood the test of time for far longer than the humans have had an empire here. Our ways are the ancient ones."
So, John, you said he left.
And he looks at Solgra and says, "Would Jorn be the name of the large man with whom shares his face the badge you showed me? He was here, but not for long. In a hurry, he traveled through our village and bartered for travel to Crowholm."
Fair enough. Thank you very much for letting us know. Something which is going to sound a bit strange, but you mentioned yours being ancient ways.
Yes.
Have your people ever encountered beasts of a dubious nature going by the name of the Riss?
We have knowledge of the creature you speak.
Okay. And have you noticed any occurrences around here, specifically on the road from Tamont? There were a number of gaps in the clearings which seemed very unnatural.
It is rare that we travel outside of our village, especially to the human settlements. Though we allow anyone to join our ranks, we do not often socialize beyond them.
Understandable. Do you...
Have a nice day.
I literally saw your face go like, I need to do it. Oh man. But with the Riss, what's your relationship?
Actually,
with
just
them?
Can we retcon that slightly? I want now, I've just thought about it, this entire monastic way that you've encountered in Kawanga, I want them to say understandable and respond with "have a nice day" in the same way the whole "may the force be with you" or "peace and long life." That is now canon to their culture.
Fair enough.
Sorry, you were asking about the
Let's
Riss.
get out of here like as quick as possible.
Right.
Understandable.
Have a nice day.
No.
So, with the Riss, what's your relationship with them?
The Riss, as you call them, were far more common to these lands many ages ago. The tales of our ancestors and forefathers, they speak of them as cunning and dangerous beasts, but nothing more than beasts.
Well, they seem to have started to make a resurgence in the lands in more common times.
And the elder nods slowly. Of course, it seems the days of the prophecy are upon this land.
What prophecy?
The prophecy, I believe, you would know as the Ebon Death.
You're aware of this?
There are few amongst our peoples who do not know the prophecy. Only the humans new to this land who do not call it their true home would not know of it.
What do you know of it?
The prophecy will soon be fulfilled. It calls for a group of 7 that will fight the Riss and the gods themselves. 7 in our culture is the most righteous and luckiest of numbers. It is fortuitous that you join us on our day of mourning in a group of your size.
All the more reason, if you have any knowledge of this prophecy, which is a bit more sensitive, we need to know as much as possible because we are fighting Riss and gods.
And he gives you something of a wicked grin and says, if it were a true prophecy, then how could you expect it to be specific?
Well, we're here.
There have been many groups of 7 over the years. Who is to say the prophecy speaks of you, or any of our bands of warriors, or anyone of this age? Prophecies are prophecies. We are the ones who decide what comes to pass.
Well, all the more reason if you have any information, that would be very, very nice to have. Because it might be the life or death of us.
And with a moment of silence, he eventually regards you and says, whatever will come to pass, will come to pass.
It is what it is.
It is what it is!
In a fancy way.
Yep.
Red Eye, give me fucking strength.
This is why I left the sect. Convoluted as shit.
And he gives you again another grin, the kind of wry smile that a master would give a pupil, and he says, ours is not to worry about the burden of prophecies. What matters is only how we live and the actions we take. If you seek to fight the Riss, then surely as a warrior you know that which you need to know already.
Yeah. But
then seek within yourself for the strength to carry out your mission and destroy the hive.
Which
And
hive?
where is the hive?
Yeah.
We were told that there's one near here.
So you guys have got the map. You can see that the there is a potential location of a hive, but it's marked as Fontaine.
Oh.
Oh.
Can I give him the map and point as to where he thinks the hive is?
And he takes the map from you and looks it over. You can see him stroking his beard and nodding as he considers it. It looks as if you've done much work yourself already. I fear there is nothing more we would be able to tell you.
Well, thank you very much for at least considering telling us something. But is there anywhere on this map that we've missed? Is there a hive close by which isn't marked by an X?
Again, he smiles at you and says, many, many hives.
Fantastic.
I hate this place. Let's can we go?
And he offers up a bit more information, as you can see that he is struggling with some of the concepts, and he says to you, the tales and prophecies speak that the entire world herself is a hive. The difference is whether or not those inhabiting it still slumber.
Yeah, well, there's people trying to wake him up.
As there is in every age.
And
They have not been the first, nor I expect the last.
so I'm assuming you know of Idal then.
He's gone by many names, but yes.
Do you know anything about him? Anything? Any information?
And he
Because he's
looks at you for a
convoluted as
moment.
hell to us.
He says, "Do you know the tale of Idal?"
No.
And he begins, "Let me recite for you the tales of old regarding Idal and his brother. In the first age of Edis, the gods worked in unity to create the land. Even Voxen himself, instrumental in bringing forth life. Though the lower gods found much time to squander their efforts on play and frivolities, much like their Fey brethren. After many eons, two brothers, the Jesters, found themselves in a position of some small power, and as with any truly tragic story, there is a woman. The brothers fought over the favor of a goddess whose name has been lost to time. Eventually, she chose not Idal, but his brother. And in Idal's rage, he consumed both his brother and the goddess in a purifying fire that gave birth to the Hells themselves. Tale has it Idal remembers none of this, and instead continues to burn and fester with a hatred for all things living, for what he believes was a punishment sent by an even greater god.
Wow.
Again, he was the Jester. I can think of nothing more foolish than to turn against one's own family and self-interest in the pursuit of something that never possibly even truly existed. The tales are muddled, and perhaps what was once metaphor has been taken literally. We may never divine the full truth, but as understood, the tale is that of Idal essentially cursing himself. This unnamed goddess and Idal's brother, we may never know if they were truly ever gods, but we can be certain that Idal exists.
Present tense.
Of course. The gods that we know exist have always existed, and they show their form in many ways. But there are many, many thousand more gods that don't show their presence, and may be fictional entirely, or perhaps a greater tragedy befell them.
See.
Zolgra.
Out of character, I think that's a good time to call it.
I was going to wrap up as soon as you guys have finished. I didn't want to do the same thing as last week and cut it off, so if you guys still have questions, go for it. But we will probably finish the session with you guys sat in this tavern.
Okay. Do we have questions?
I have a bunch, but I don't know whether
You'll still have a chance to talk to this guy next session, because you're not like planning to leave anywhere. But if you've got any like pressing stuff that you want to be able to like ruminate on the answer over a week, ask it now.
I don't think I know about the big clearing spots outside of Kawanga.
He did mention that they don't leave the village pretty much ever. They're sort of self-sustaining. So, you telling them is probably the first time they've heard of these clearings. They are far enough away that they wouldn't be immediate worries.
I think they might be interested though. It seems like there's a big, scary creature
Yeah,
lurking
but they
around.
not notice anything maybe weird or...
So
in that case.
the barrage of questions and your attempts to put the question to him regarding whatever big creature or whatever Bahamut warned Corporius of, he makes it known that these are ancient lands. These forests are not ones that the Empire of Man has yet cut down and industrialized. Many ancient and disturbing creatures live within the boundary. We attempt our best to live in balance with them. Whatever it is that you feel threatened you on your trip here, I would pay it no heed now you have arrived.
Our character, I am so tempted to fuck this up by showing him the note without reading it.
I mean, what, without you reading it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. Nothing's gonna happen though, like we can still end the session.
Yeah.
If you were to show him the note, he's probably just like, interesting. I didn't know it was spelled that way.
What?
And on that note,
what the fuck?
with you guys now set up in Kawanga and a lead to Jawn and some lore dropped on you, I believe some interesting things are afoot for next session. So I actually have a lot of preparation to do for next week now.
You don't have to end the session because I'm a bit sleepy.
No, that's probably a good natural stopping point, because the next point that we could stop is like 3 hours from now. I'm not prepared to do that.
Okay.
I also need to sleep, because I have lots of stuff to do. But anyway, that was session 17. Oh my god, 17 weeks of this. Session 17 of the Ebon Death. Again, very... yes, 1/7 or 17.
We're almost at 20.
We are almost at 20.
We should do a special celebration.
I'm kind of hoping that we can like end a major story arc on episode 20, depending on how things go. So maybe it will be a big deal.
You know what? It's been a third of a year.
It has.
That's so weird.
Jesus.
Don't say that. That's so
Like
weird.
next
And you
week-
guys are
next
you
week
guys
is
have
1 month.
almost made it to like one full story arc. Almost.
And we still don't know anything about our backstories.
It's coming. It is coming. Anyway, 4 months in, and that is the end of episode 17. I was quite happy that we actually made it to Kawanga, because I've been wanting to... I thought of this idea a while back, and I wanted to do this kind of village for it, because it was named Kawanga. Because it's a Mega Man reference, thanks to people on stream during D&D prep. So I had to go a little bit more of the Japanese reference for it, just because it sounds so weird amongst all the other villages in this empire. Yeah, A is wide awake, for sure.
Wide awake.
Wide
I
awake.
don't know what you're all talking about. I'm very alert.
But there we go, we're going to wrap that up for this session, guys, and we will be back next Wednesday at 8 PM GMT to continue this...
BSD.
BST, yeah, that's a good point, BST. We're not I keep saying GMT to people, but it's not, that's wrong. Yeah, I've been wrong a lot lately.
Unless they want to show up an hour earlier and vibe in chat.
Yeah, just vibe for an hour, and then we'll show up and probably do some combat stuff.
For anyone who's not sure about time zones, that's the time 3.5 hours ago next week.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly that.
Yes.
So let's do a rundown of our players. We have been joined by Third Fred Capo as Corporius Carolon, the Dragonborn Monklock, with a I think a rather fun god that he's got going on there. He definitely picked the right god.
Sometimes, yes.
Yes, yeah.
No regrets.
Everyone's gonna love Bahamut and quote everything that he says. We've also been joined by Violin Solo playing M, our Eladrin Rogue, who for the first time in many weeks didn't get to actively steal anything or backstab anybody.
I know.
Don't worry, Em, there's going to be
Boring.
plenty of opportunity.
Can I kill this guy?
You can certainly try.
I think that's DM speak for no.
We've also been joined by Cactus Room playing Shareed, our Aarakocran dronk druid monk.
For all the stealing that M didn't do, I made up for it.
That's a very good point. Yeah, you did. We've also been joined by Russell _ the Dude playing Fanny Boss, our backflipping and occasional front flipping for style dwarven fighter. And the only thing I say about Fanny Boss is that it's always the quiet ones. I'd be concerned for Fanny Boss's eventual backstory. You never know what that dwarf's hiding. Look, he's already shifty.
Secretly a big man.
He's 2 halflings in a trench coat, pretending to be a dwarf. We've also been joined by AODHQ playing Oscar, the Wood Elf Bard, who I dread to think just how Oscar is being affected by the rest of this party and the lack of sleep.
What? What? Sorry, what did you just say? I wasn't listening.
It's fine. Something about a theremin.
What?
And we've been joined by Shlee Fiddy playing Solgra, the half-orc barbarian, who I'm sure is just as antsy about not hitting things as M is about not stabbing things. So, trust it's science way. It's science way. And of course, as always, we are joined by Guitar of CR, the man, the myth, the legend, playing Gershaw, our human monk. Happy birthday, Charles!
Happy birthday!
You know what? It's never not funny.
I know, right?
I know, right? It's so great, haha, it's so good, you're really funny.
You're welcome, Charles.
Oh man, that was some.
Wait, isn't that cooperated?
Organization.
And we got DMCA stroke. Thanks, Shareed. No, I almost wasn't going to make the birthday joke, and then you just had to introduce yourself, even under your breath, as the phallic barbarian. Therefore, if you're going to keep that joke going, I'm going to keep this one going.
Looks like I'm going to be 102 by the end of the sessions.
Yep. Not level. And of course, I have been your Dungeon Master, Geeks Codex, trying to herd cats and have a huge amount of fun at the same time. And we end the session on the same argument that started the session. Sparkling water or still water, only you can decide. But we all know the real answer is still water. And with that, we'll end the stream. We'll catch you guys next Wednesday. Bye-bye! Bye!
Today, we pay homage to the streamer's salty snack of choice, and the capo who's brave enough to defend their honor. Sit back and listen for a while, friends. You're in for one hell of a salty surprise. Sometimes streaming requires a meal, but the chat won't let you enjoy your snack. Unrelenting in that mockery, you fire back with words of wisdom and attack. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Shut up! Let me munch my nuts. Yeah! Sodium's getting high, and vitamin B12. You're getting nourishment from the nuts variety that you delve. You may think of dirty jokes, all your 69 tropes. But Capo continues lunch, he continues to munch. You didn't turn your back on them, although they're making your mouth dry. You'll never go hungry again until your death counts 60 high. Let me munch my nuts. Shut up. Let me munch my nuts. Shut up.